Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome. It's not Christmas in July, but it's the next best thing. It's the 2020 NFL Draft here for BFA Sports, a top shelf edition of the NFL Draft. I'm Doug Stasik alongside my brother from another, Al Fisher, George the Animal Steele, Stevie Westcott, the computer that actually works this week. It's a miracle. Eagles beat writer from the Courier Post, Mr. Josh Friedman, and the NFL analyst, the in-house vandal himself, the University of Idaho pride, Mr. Coffee Jones. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
Good to be with Ollie.
What's up,
All right,
Dougie?
man. So, Al, I'll let you start here on your Christmas morning, even though it's not December.
Oh, I can start? Hold on a second. Wait, hold on a second. I got something for you. Wait, I got a little music for you. If it's going to play, but it might not play for me. Here comes Santa Claus. Here comes Howie Claus. Right down Howie Claus Lane.
And all right, and we're off, and already 8 people jumped offline. That was horrible.
Listen, man, this is
Boy, are
Christmas
we
Day
off
for
to
me.
a
It's
good start.
Always has been. I'm so excited. Can't wait to get this thing started.
All right. Well, sure enough, want to let everybody know kind of twofold, right? So a lot of people will be watching the draft tonight on the TV, but if you want, you can watch us on YouTube. All you got to do is go over to BFA Sports. So if you go on BFA Sports, you can definitely see us there. Of course, right here on Facebook Live. As long as you're on the BFA Productions Facebook page, you can comment below and make you part of the show. And it looks like, believe it or not, somebody already has. So Pete Ward.
All right.
Pete Ward checking in. So just like Pete, you guys can jump in anytime. We're going to have some fun with it. So we're going to have about a 30-minute pre-show before the draft kicks off. We're going to talk some Eagles. What are they going to do? But we're going to try to stay with you through most of the first round. So it should be interesting. And, well, let's just get it going. So, Josh, since you're Mr. South Jersey, had an opportunity to talk to some of the guys who are pretty excited as things kick off. So who have you talked to first-round potential talent here?
I did a story on Cesar Ruiz that we published the other day. I expect, he's excited. He's not really looking at mock drafts. He's kind of letting the surprise happen himself. But everything I've seen, I think he goes today. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Dallas at 17. But if he doesn't go there, I expect him to go after somewhere in the second half of the first round. And I think someone's going to be getting a really good center over there. He's tenacious. He's got great mobility. He can move all around. Can fit any scheme. He's going to do a great job in the NFL. Someone's getting a good player if they draft Cesar Ruiz in the first round.
No doubt. So, Coffee, man, you're a guy that has done quite a bit of homework. You and your buddy Ron Jaworski, I know, have really been zeroed in on this draft. So, any thoughts about maybe some things that could potentially happen real early here?
I think early on is going to be a big key what people feel and what they feel their needs are at offensive tackle. There's a lot of guys at the top of the draft with first-round grades, and people feel like this is a premium position. If you're going to have a franchise quarterback, you better be able to protect him. A guy like Trent Williams from Washington that's still out there looking for a trade could mix up where these offensive tackles come off the board. When you look at Thomas from Georgia, you got a guy at Alabama, Iowa. There's a lot of talent out there. Louisville's got a big guy, Mekhi Becton. So there's a lot of offensive tackles, about 4 guys that could be as high as the top 6. Or could be later in the first round, and the rest of the positions will kind of fall in around that.
All right. So, Stevie, you have a mock draft that's going on, a draft pool. So you're really keeping your eyes, and what are your high hopes here for a couple picks?
In regards to the earlier trade possibilities, I think there might be one in regards to the quarterback position. The Chargers are being rumored in trades right now in regards to moving up and or back as that goes. I have a feeling that they may be really interested in Justin Herbert. However, I think that they may feel, based on the rumors that we're hearing, or that I'm hearing, that Miami's pick may be Herbert. So there's actually some talk, and we'll see if it comes to fold, as to them trading up with Detroit to 3, so that Miami doesn't take Herbert, who is their preference of the 2, at 5. So let's look to see if the Chargers trade up to 3 at that point, or if they may even move back if they don't get what they need there or what they're looking for there to get that quarterback a little bit mid or the late first round.
Hey, Stevie, there was a lot of reports that Miami was trying to move up to Cincinnati's pick. Cincinnati kept batting away. They really wanted that number 1 pick. Who do you think they were going to take there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think both the Chargers and Miami's number 1 pick out of the 2 is Herbert. And I think they're both trying to find that pieces if they can come up with a trading partner, because obviously Miami is in front at 5 and the Chargers are at 6. And I think it's just that game that the NFL general managers are playing right now on both of their behalves that, hey, if we both like Herbert rather than Tua, I think they both be fine with Tua. However, I think Herbert's both their priorities, and that's what they're looking to do with Miami, with the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Chargers with the Detroit Lions.
So, Al, I don't think there's ever one time that you'll ever be at the top of a lineup to like lead off. I mean, you have no speed.
No.
I was wondering, perhaps, maybe, like, how would you do in a Wonderlic test? Coffee took the Wonderlic test yesterday.
Did you say a window liquor test?
It sounds like Coffee already knows the answer to that question, right, Coffee?
Hey, listen, it was a scary test for me to take. Me and my daughter took it. It was rough. I mean, when you start thinking about that clock, you only get 12 minutes. I see why some guys are a little bit nervous under the pressure. I think I did all right. I wasn't as bad as Vince Young and Tua and some of these other guys have done, but I got 27, 28 in the 12 minutes.
All right. Well, 28 is a pretty nice score. And Al, here's the thing: since there's going to be a lot of time once the draft starts,
right?
You're actually live right here on the stream. You're going to take the Wonderlic test tonight. So you didn't know that going in, but it's going to happen.
Let's do it. I can't wait, man. Let's go.
Yeah, I knew you would. All right, so let's talk about the Eagles' needs, guys. So on last week's show, a lot of people had tuned in. We had our kind of thoughts. So, Josh, let's start with you. So what do you think? Eagles at 21, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're they're almost on the clock. So what do you think? Eagles at 21.
Well, as I said last week, nothing's changed for me. Linebacker, I still think is their top need. Receiver's important. That would be my number 2. They need some depth on the offensive line. Don't need to go in the first round for that. Both at tackle and interior and safety, I think, is a big need as well over corner. But I still like linebacker at the top. I did a mock draft for the Courier. We published it yesterday. We published it online yesterday. I had it Kenneth Murray at 21, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Nate Jerry's the top linebacker right now. If you look at the depth charts of receiver and linebacker, I'd rather have Deshaun. I'm more comfortable with Deshaun Alshon as my top 2 guys at receiver than I am at Nate Jerry as my top linebacker. So that'd be my first priority, is securing that. And I think it's good value with either Murray or Patrick Queen, even though I'm a Patrick Queen guy. But I think there's good value right there at 21 if they stay there. But at the same time, trading seems like a pretty good chance that happens as well. So.
All right, so Coffee, if you're looking into your crystal ball, what do the Eagles end up with at 21?
At 21, I think it's got to be a receiver, just looking at the way the draft is going to play out. But honestly, when I talk about those offensive tackles, not just because I'm an offensive lineman, but I think the fact that teams are going to start to reach for guys higher in the first round to get an offensive tackle, it's going to leave a lot more receivers on the board, which obviously I think Judy and CeeDee Lamb will be gone. Eagles may get some calls at 21. And say, hey, you might want to move down to 25, 26, and let somebody else move up to that spot. Then you could be able to pick up, like you said, a linebacker would be a good pick. I think Patrick Queen would be the next guy off the board after Isaiah Simmons would be the guy that would fit there. But I think you could pick up an additional 2nd or 3rd round pick just by moving down a couple spots and still get the guy you want. At 21, I think it's receiver. If you move back a little bit, I think you can go linebacker or even corner and pick up a defensive guy. With the depth of this wide receiver class, you can get a great guy in the 2nd round.
All right, interesting enough. So any thoughts? I know a guy that's pretty big on the board is a dude from, I think it's from Clemson, if I'm not mistaken, Isaiah Simmons. So, we talked about, linebacker coverage in the Eagles defense, especially when you're playing some of this personnel where they come out in a 12 set. I mean, this kid's an absolute stud. Like, I saw some film on him earlier on, and it seems like he can stop the run, but, man, is he good in the open field.
Honestly, I think that guy is going to be somewhat coveted and somewhat a gift from heaven for some team. It could be the Giants, which would be sad for the divisional rival of the Eagles. That's going to be sitting there at the top of the draft. When you look at the needs of teams like Cincinnati, teams like Miami, teams at the top of the draft that need quarterbacks, that want to go for offensive linemen. Even the Lions are looking at, they may go with a Jeff Okudah or somebody like that at cornerback. Derek Brown, you talk about these defensive tackles. A guy like Simmons may end up falling to 6, 7, or 8 to a team with a pretty good defense already and his scheme versatility. I mean, I seen a quote from him earlier this week. He said you get 53 guys on the roster, but when you get a guy like me, it's more like 56. And that's the kind of confidence he has and the versatility he can bring, being able to play at the second, third, or even the pass rush level.
So, Al, who's on your wish list? Usually, like I said, I let you lead off, but that's not usually a spot that you find yourself in.
Hey, that's okay. I like to bat the bottom of the lineup anyway. No problem. Knocking those runs that way. So, in my opinion, I really think the Eagles are in a spot that's really difficult for them as a team because they want to get the top wide receiver, and I think the first 4 wide receivers will be off the board. I think it's a prime spot for them to trade back, maybe twice in the first round, somewhere around 26 with Miami, which I think Miami's there, and maybe going back somewhere where Tennessee may want somebody in that spot at 26, which allows the Eagles to pick up maybe another second, another third. Who knows what they could actually put together. But I think the value for them, because they have so many holes they have to fill, is obviously in that second and third round range, the bottom of the first, second, and third round range. You can get guys. I've really gotten high on Rieger. I'm really all over Jalen Rieger right now. I like the way he can catch a contested football. He's got the speed. He's got the plant the foot and go. And his leaping ability for a guy that's like 5'11" is ridiculous. I'm actually really falling in love with him. I was a big Denzel Mims guy, but I really think the Eagles are going to be going after Jalen Rieger. And if they can get a guy like Jordan Brooks or Willie Gay as a linebacker in the second or third round, I think we're doing really well for ourselves. And then maybe pick up a Devin Duvernay somewhere around I guess it would be the third round, late third round, or even the second round, depending on what we get. But I really think that would be a big win for us with Rieger and Duvernay and either Willie Gay or Jordan Brooks.
Cool. Stevie, so a lot of diehard Eagles fans out there are saying it's receiver bust in the first round. So your thoughts there? Did the Eagles get a receiver in the first round, or do you think differently?
Yeah, well, I'm going to elaborate a little bit on what Coffee had just said. I really, in my gut is, knowing Howie Roseman's past, I don't believe the Eagles are staying at 21 at all. I think they're either going to move up and get a guy that at the receiver position that they love, like the CD Lamb or the Ruggs, et cetera, or they're going to move back to cover a couple holes or a bunch of holes, as we've already stated on this show that they could do by acquiring some picks if they do move back. I, along with Josh, say that if they stay at 21 and the 4 receivers, including Jefferson after the top 3, are not there, I like either Kenneth Murray or Patrick Queen, which I think Coffee elaborated to as well.
I agree.
However, I've heard reports of them moving back. I also heard of one today, and I haven't confirmed it from anybody or been able to confirm it or follow it up. There's also a word in the wind that they may even be moving up to number 6 in a potential trade with the Chargers. Again, NFL Insider, it came through NFL Insider, and the Chargers said that the report was that the Chargers and the Eagles have a tentative deal in place if, in fact, Okudah, the Ohio State cornerback, isn't there at 6. If he's there at 6, the Chargers are content with staying at 6 and taking him. The report went as far as saying that if Okudah is not there, that CeeDee Lamb would be an Eagle at number 6. So, like I said, there's rumors flying all over. This whole draft could be a whirlwind, as we talked about a little bit off air, and maybe even some here on in your guys' show last week, which I unfortunately wasn't able to be a part of. This whole thing could be a whirlwind if these trades start, and they could get hot and heavy and hectic quick.
So a couple quick shout outs. So our buddy Bob Penza, he's on the horn here. What's up there, Bob?
Hey, Bob.
Looks like, Steve, you have at least one fan who's watching. So your mom. So she says,
there you go.
Go Eagles. And Kevin Allen's already getting started saying he's winning his mock draft will no contest. I saw him comment earlier. Josh, he says with the 16th pick in the 2020 NFL draft, Eagles select Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver, Alabama. So I guess he's another guy that thinks that they're going to potentially move up. But based on what Steve just said, I mean, Josh, do you see that's a big jump, dude? The Eagles to 6?
I haven't seen that anywhere. I mean, I don't know who Steve's looking at. I haven't seen that anywhere. I can't imagine the Chargers moving off of 6 if they do very far. Certainly not to 21. I don't think there's a package the Eagles put together. That rings true to me. I certainly think the Eagles can move up for CeeDee Lamb. I certainly think that's possible. I just don't see them getting all the way up to 6. I don't think the Chargers have much interest in moving back either. Again, based on everything I've read, but we all follow different people. So, but But I certainly don't say that. But I posted when we did our mock the other day, Al. I asked you what what would it take for what would you take for the Eagles moving up from 21 to like 10? I think you were at 10 when we were doing our draft, where Cleveland was, to go up, and I certainly think that would be a possibility. I think they can move up to the Jets at 11 if they want to move down. The 49ers are, they've made it public. They want out at third. They have no problem moving backs if they don't have a pick until the 5th round after the first. I don't see 6, but there's certainly possibilities to move up if that's who the Eagles want. And I've said it all along. If the Eagles love if they think one of those guys, a Lamb, a Judy, a Ruggs is the number one guy, go get him. Just because a draft class has depth like the receivers do, doesn't mean they're all going to be home runs. Just means there's a lot of potential in there. And I think that's what people forget. Just, okay, yeah, we can get a receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round. Well, that doesn't mean everyone's going to be Stevie Lamb or Jerry Jeudy or everyone's going to be Pro Bowlers. It means there's a lot of potential that you can go with. And I think there's a clear top 3. And if you want to go get one, I think if they want to go get one of those guys, all power to them. I have no problem doing that if you don't give up the farm to do it. I think it's a very logical move if that's what they want to go.
Yeah, no, I'm getting attacked here. I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but I made mention at least Stevie had one fan, and now his sister and his sister-in-law jump in. So I'm going to be afraid to take a step outside at some point tonight during this break. And hang up on me here. Coffee, can you see a scenario where they actually jump up that high? I mean, it seems like a big jump.
I mean, I could see scenarios. I don't think they have to. And when you talk about the draft, one thing that we have to consider as fans is the financial ramifications of it. Every guy that you want to get that guy as late as possible. No offense. You want him on your team, but you want to get him late. And that's why teams start clamoring at the end of the first round when they realize they can go back and get a guy that's still there that they didn't have to take in the top 10 or the top 5. We're talking $32 to $33 million for the number 1 pick guaranteed, for a guy like Joe Burrow and his rookie deal. Then it gets slotted on the way down. So if you can get a guy later in the round, even a pick or two could save you $3 or $4 million. You can still get that 5th-year option. So the Eagles, looking at most mock drafts, the Raiders at 12 have a slot to get a receiver, either be Jerry Jeudy or CD Lamb. So looking at the needs of the top 10, if you can get anywhere into that top 12 range, you're looking good to get one of those top receivers. You don't have to get as high as 6 for what it's going to cost you to move up there. It'll probably take 2 different trades or even looking into some of next year's bag to give away some picks to move up that high. I don't think they need to do that.
Yeah, Doug, let me follow my previous comment up with this. If it was, in my opinion, my opinion of this whole situation is I wouldn't move up there. I was just saying what I heard earlier. I'm in favor of what Al said prior in possibly moving back and covering more of a totality of needs for the Philadelphia Eagles than I am moving all the way up there, especially that high. To go get what you think is obviously maybe your most glaring need.
So, that being said, in about 10 minutes officially, the Cincinnati Bengals are going on the clock. So, anybody have any difference of opinion of who's supposed to be the number 1 pick?
Not I. Joe Burrow.
They've already, from everything I've read, they've already told him he's the number 1 pick, and same thing with Redskins and Chase Young. I think we can save ourselves some time. I think Burrow and Young I think they've already been told by their teams they're going to be the picks. So,
I agree with what they said.
All right, so the Redskins then they're going to have the 2nd pick tonight.
Chase Young, no doubt. They don't want to move out of that pick.
Quick hitters, anybody?
It's got to be Chase Young. So Andre Dillard and Lane Johnson better be ready because the kid can play.
Good Lord.
All right, looks like I got a nod from Josh. How about you, Stevie?
Yeah, I think one is Burrow. One of the amusement purposes sites only had Burrow as a negative money to be the first pick of the draft, and almost up to something crazy, like 10,000 you lost if he wasn't. It was bizarre.
Wow.
However, I think Burrow's one, and I unless there's something in the works that's not let out of the bag yet, Chase Young's 2 to Washington, unless they have something in place that we don't know.
Okay. Fair enough.
Just so you know, on ESPN, they're saying that Washington, the early word is that Washington and number 5 with Miami could be the beginning of the chaos in tonight's night.
Ooh. And Coffee's counting on it. He likes to stir things up.
Well, I think he just mentioned it about 10 minutes ago.
Coffee.
All right. So then that would take us then to, let's see, number 3, and that would be the Detroit Motor City Lions. Coffee, what do you think at 3?
I think they go with Kuda. Some people are, speculating they can go defensive tackle. I love Derek Brown. I even love the kid Kinlaw down in South Carolina. But I think you got to go with Jeff Okudah. I think you need to replace a guy like Darius Big Play Slay that's here in Philadelphia and try to get a corner if you're going to compete with some of those receivers that they'll see in the NFC North.
No question, Josh.
Same. I think Okudah is really, really good. I have a hard time seeing him bust. I think he's going to be a really, really good pro bowler. I think he's easy pick.
Yeah, so Kevin Allen is commenting, and let me see if I can pull him up on the screen here. He's saying Miami moves up to 3 for Tua.
They're discussing that. That just came across on NFL Network.
And let's see, buddy John Roach. I live 10 minutes from Penn State, so I'm biased. I'd love to see KJ Hamler with the Eagles somehow.
I'd like to see it too. I agree. Roachy, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Doug, I think that's definitely possible, especially if they trade down like Coffee and Allen, that we've all said in the last week or so. KJ Hamler could be a strong possibility for the Eagles if they acquire another pick or two by trading down. That's a possibility.
All right, so then that takes us quickly to number 4, the New York Football Giants. Al, what do you think?
Simmons. Definitely think Simmons, or even Derek Brown, guys. What do you think about Derek Brown at spot?
I got to tell you, I think Simmons, I mentioned it earlier, but I think Simmons is quickly becoming my favorite player in the draft, or maybe my heart is in Clemson, because you guys also know how I feel about our boy, Mr. wide receiver. I don't want to curse us for fear of if I say his name, maybe we don't get him. Steve, what do you got up for?
Yeah, piggybacking off what Coffee had said earlier, if Isaiah Simmons doesn't go here to the Giants, I don't think he gets past Carolina at 7. So either way, after the 2 quarterbacks go at 5 and 6, I think he's in the NFC with Carolina or right here with the Giants. However, with the Giants addressing 2 players already at the defensive side of the ball with Blake Martinez, is it, and Bradbury, I think they may go offensive tackle here. I got Wirfs here, but I could definitely see Isaiah Simmons also.
Coffee going with a big nod.
I was thinking this is where the offensive tackles are going to start to screw some things up for some other people and make somebody else's draft board really excited. I think they go offensive tackle and start to build around their offensive repertoire with Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley. I think they go offensive lineman here.
All right, Josh.
Yeah, in my mock, I had him with Willis from Alabama. Soldiers, on the left side. Willis is a right tackle at Alabama, a really good one. Just slot him in right where he belongs at right tackle. Don't even worry about moving him side to side. I think it makes a lot of sense to go Willis at 4.
All right. So then at 5, the first pick for the Dolphins, Coffee.
The Dolphins, I think they go Herbert. I think they mix it up. I think they go Justin Herbert. You got a big arm quarterback, and you got some more picks later in this round. I'm sure they're probably getting fielded some calls to move up to that spot so other people can get their guy. But looking at that draft that we've just mocked right now, there's a lot of talent behind there. We still haven't talked about a wide receiver yet or those defensive tackles. I think they sit there with Justin Herbert.
All right. Josh, any difference of opinion there at 5?
I mocked Herbert, but I also said it'd be a mistake if they took him. I'm a Tua guy. I'd take Tua over Herbert 100 out of 100. And I think whoever grabs Herbert over Tua is making a big mistake. But I mocked Herbert. I know the buzz is Tua now. I think that'd be the right choice if that's what the Dolphins did. But I know the buzz is on Tua right now. So I'll stick with the buzz and say Tua, but I mocked Herbert yesterday just based on everything that had been said previously.
Cool. Stevie.
Yeah, I think 5 and 6 are quarterback. There's something to be said in the NFL about accuracy and consistency. I think Tua provides that. That's why I agree with Josh where Tua would be my guy. However, there's a lot of hype and a lot of scenarios where Herbert's climbing up charts and higher on people's lists. But I think 5 and 6 is quarterback, Herbert, Tua here in either order.
Okay. Al, any other thoughts on 5?
No, I'm pretty much in agreement with Josh that it's going to be. I think it's going to be Herbert, even though I believe it should be Tua.
Okay, fair enough. So, really kind of a deep thought here. What's maybe your biggest surprise tonight, guys, as far as something that happens in the draft? Like, is there a big name currently rostered player that gets moved, or perhaps you just kind of have an inkling? Maybe you've heard some whispers that is part of a fundamental piece of wow, I didn't expect that trade.
Trent Williams. I think the Redskins are going to try to move him and get some draft capital out of him. He's obviously not happy there. A lot of teams need offensive linemen, and that could throw a monkey wrench in guys like Thomas, Wirfs, and these offensive tackles, Becton, where a team doesn't have to use their draft pick. They can maybe move around and get a solidified all-pro and Pro Bowler like Trent Williams.
All right, so Frank Louisi's asking, Birds moved to 15th. Any thought? Al, you're nodding your head. Yeah, you think it's good.
There's a lot of talk about Judy possibly moving down the board because he had an MCL, I believe it was, in 2018. Heard a lot of buzz this morning, listening to WIP. If he's there at 15, I'm jumping on it.
All right.
Jerry Judy will be a wide receiver in Philadelphia Green.
Very interesting thought process.
Doug, you're talking about maybe a surprise. I know there's a lot of these offensive tackles, and I think it's a good draft group for offensive tackle. Maybe not quite as good as receiver, but a good group. Josh Jones from Houston. Everybody's mentioning Wirfs. Everybody's mentioning Willis. Everybody's mentioning Mekhi, Becton. Not a lot of hype in regards to Josh Jones out of the University of Houston, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's a young man that could slip into the top half of this draft.
All right. I'm not really sure. I keep looking at this kind of from a couple of different angles, and I do think that the Eagles are going to drop down, and I think that you're going to hear a lot of people booing from their basement as a result. Like, I just think too many fans get hyped up. It's like, let's go get our guy. Let's go get our guy. But, to Coffey's point, I think earlier, I don't know that there's a huge gap between your bona fide number 1 receiver and your number 8 receiver. So that's why I'm kind of quietly hoping that they don't move up. I think it might be a mistake.
I agree.
I got a bold prediction, Doug. A wide receiver drafted 3rd round, maybe even or later in the Saturday, is going to make the Pro Bowl this coming season. I mean, somebody with so much talent, a guy's going to go into the right system. It could be a team. You never know what Green Bay does. A guy that's opposite a star like, that they've got Devontae Adams that gets a lot of catches. You've seen how, guys like Calvin Ridley came on the scene early on with a bunch of touchdowns in the first few weeks of the season. I think a guy could benefit going later in the draft, gets in the right system, right quarterback, and have a breakout year.
That could be that Brian Edwards out of South Carolina if he's in the right system. Really like that guy. Really like him. Like what I see on tape.
So Josh, I know you're a bit on the hot seat tonight as you got coverage, you got stories that you got to write, and you're waiting to see what happens on a local level. So any kind of final thoughts before you got to make a move?
I don't have any bold predictions. I've read too many mock drafts to be surprised, I feel like, at this point. Or if I'm going to be surprised, I kind of just want to be surprised. I'll when you read all these mock drafts, all these experts have their opinions, and I put mine up in my mock, and I just kind of want to enjoy it. I sometimes I feel like, as a culture today, we try and spoil the movie for ourselves. If we know there's a surprise ending coming, we're trying to spoil it already, and I try my best not to do that. I think there could be. I know there's going to be picks I'm going to scratch my head about. I know there's going to be picks I think are going to be amazing, and I kind of just want to see. I'm going to turn off Twitter. I'm going to only turn it back on when I know I've got to. If a South Jersey kid goes and I got to do some work, I'm going to turn off Twitter and just try to kick back and enjoy the draft. It's troubling times right now. It's hard times, and let's smile. Let's enjoy the instead of spoiling the ending for us.
So Josh, it sounds like.
Well,
hold on a second, Steve. I got to say this.
Go ahead, buddy.
It sounds like Josh stayed up to see Santa Claus and never got a chance to see him overnight.
I'm Jewish, so I didn't see Santa until I married my wife. So
there you go,
Good job by Al Fisher right there, teeing that one.
Al Fisher does his homework.
Yeah, in regards to smiling and staying positive.
Anyway, I gotta go, guys. Take care of yourselves.
Sorry. All right,
Josh.
See you, Josh.
In regards and piggybacking off what Josh just said and staying happy, I think it's also, if you look at the silver lining theory, this is a situation where I don't think the Eagles can really go wrong. I mean, if you moved up 5 or 6 spots and got to 15, 16, 14, whatever it is, and you drafted CD Lamb or any one of those top 3 receivers, I would be okay with that. if you stayed and you addressed a linebacker spot at 21, where you really is a position of need, probably even more a bigger need than wide receiver, I would be okay with that. If they traded back and got a couple extra picks in order to suffice the totality of the situation, I would be okay with that. So the silver lining theory is the Eagles have a lot of options to look good here and make the right selection here tonight and have a good night and weekend, let's say, and I think they'll do that.
Well, I'm just really interested in the fact it's going to be an historic draft on a lot of accounts. But one of the biggest ones is just that it's all being done remotely. Like the commissioner is going to be in the basement. So I can't really kind of wait. Like, I know we're all going to kind of chill and hang out and go back and forth tonight. And so
you could be the commissioner. That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, hey, why not? If I can get his paycheck, I'm all in. So, John Roach, got any on the Easter Bunny, Al?
So, no insight on the Easter Bunny. Thanks, John. I appreciate the shot.
Yeah. Hey, Al, your microphone's a little low, just to let you know. So,
how about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I'm getting blown away. Like he just lit up an amplifier.
That's all right. I'm going to take the earphones out now that we're kind of a little bit more casual and the party's about to start.
And Louise says you are correct, Steve. They're sitting in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I mean, I know sometimes you wonder about it's tough trying to find trade partners, especially when you have such a glaring need as the Eagles do a receiver. Everybody in the league needs to know one. Everybody in the league needs to knows what you need and what you're going after. However, hey, listen, there's a couple needs that the Eagles have, and they're going to be able to address some issues this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun weekend, especially tonight. Like I said, this could be a whirlwind of trades, and this could be a complete circus tonight.
Well, looking forward to it. That's for darn sure. Talk about the anticipation a little bit, Coffee. Like I know last week when we were on, there were people that kind of tuned in, but you've been there, kind of standing there, waiting to see the expression on these kids' faces, and I mean, kind of crazy.
It's amazing because some of the guys obviously at the top of the draft, there's just so much talk and buzz and insiders. You talk to Schefter and Garoppolo, and all these guys have all their opinions, their inside sources. So you pretty much know who's going to be the top pick. And just after that, mayhem starts. And, you think about a couple of years ago with the draft here in Philadelphia, right there at the second spot, teams moving up to get to Mitchell Trubisky and trading back. I mean, the madness starts after that. And right now, we pretty much can assume Joe Burrow will be the first name announced. After that, it could be anybody, literally.
Yeah, no, hey, man, it's a really great point. It really is.
And you guys have a dream scenario for the Philadelphia Eagles? I don't know if we really kind of talked about that earlier. Is there what would you like to see coming out of this for them? Because I know how I feel, and I want to hear it from you guys.
Go ahead, Steve.
No, like I said, there's a couple needs, whether it be linebacker. I don't know if there's one dream scenario that you could come up with that makes it say, oh, my God, now all of a sudden they're an automatic Super Bowl contender. I think the Eagles are going to be very, very good. I think they're going to find themselves in the top half of that NFC with a couple additions being made this weekend. But I don't know if there's any one player or one scenario out there that sells me over the river for, or just completely says, oh, my God, yeah, there it was. Oh, my God. I think a lot of the scenarios that we're bringing up are really good ones, and I think our five opinions here on this show were very good, and I think it's going to fall in line to that. But I don't think there's one out there that just remotely puts it over the fence for me.
Yeah, no. So we're just in a position now where I almost feel as if it's going to just be the draft follow-up. So the hope is we don't overreach. We get a guy that we know is going to automatically have to be a guy going into the lineup. And I think right now from this team, there's a lot of people are saying, we need receivers. We talked about the linebacker position. The Coffee talk about the linemen. But my opinion is this is one of those years that we're not going to really be able to afford to have a first-round draft pick not be a starter from 2020. I mean, that's
Pro Bowl. you need a Pro Bowl caliber guy within his rookie contract. In those first 4 years, you take a guy in the first round, you're expecting him to make the Pro Bowl in his first 4 years, and then go on and find a bigger deal after that.
Yeah. Stevie, I just want to give you a heads up. I think B-Dub's TV is a little loud in the background. I'm picking up a lot.
Okay.
All right.
I don't think there's any volume at all on it, but that's okay. Oh, no.
Okay, you're good.
Yeah, he's got it.
I have a TV on, but it's not loud.
All right.
Pick it
I
up.
can turn it down.
It's all good. I'm just letting you guys know from a broadcast standpoint. Not that I usually talk about that live, but I know the way. I tried to chat, but nobody reads it. So, all right.
I read it.
Yeah, thanks, Cole. All right. So, how's Goodell going to get booed in his basement?
Yeah, I can boo from here.
That's what I want to know. So, I'm gonna try to work on some creative technology here for a second. So, I'm gonna let you guys chat it up for a few minutes and see if I can pull off some magic that we can maybe get a look at the draft on our screen.
Oh, that's awesome.
At the same time. I'm going to step away for a couple minutes and let you guys do your thing.
Hey, Coffee,
Hey guys,
I mentioned earlier a name at the offensive tackle position that I thought could sneak up into the top half of the draft, which was my surprise. What's your opinion of Josh Jones, the offensive tackle out of Houston?
I think so. So people have had him at the bottom of the first round. Looked through a lot of different mock drafts, read some reports on him. Obviously, with a name like Jay Jones, I think he's going to be a great player personally. But when you look at just some of the film that you watch on a guy like Thomas at Georgia, the size of Becton, like that guy could be. I mean, people are talking. He's got the frame and the footwork that he could be with the right system and the right coach behind him. He could be a future Hall of Famer. I mean, the guy can move at that size. If you want a guy that's more of a pro ready, you can go Thomas, you can go Wirfs, you can go with the kid down in Alabama. But Johnson is the guy that's an athlete that's been dominating the competition down in Houston in the AAC. I think he's a first-round talent. But, again, teams are trying to pick the guys that they want as late as they can.
The numbers I saw were 6'7", 364, run a 5 flat is the numbers I think.
Exactly.
That's just unreal.
That is crazy. I mean, 5 flat, that means somebody's watch had 4.9 on it. So somebody's looking at their GM and coach beside him like, did you get what I got? Because I got 4.98. Like, that's insane.
What are your guys' thoughts on maybe a Willie Gay or Jordan Brooks in the second round if they get a second round pick where you can actually pick up another wide receiver and someone like Willie Gay or Jordan Brooks? I think that Willie Gay, for me, and Jordan Brooks is more of a run stopper. Willie Gay is kind of a more sideline to sideline type of player, and I really would like to see him in an Eagles uniform.
I like Brooks. I think he's the best run defender in this draft. I mean, obviously Simmons is just a hybrid that can do all the things from Clemson. Patrick Queen is more of a sideline speed guy with a little bit of a DB type frame that can just run like the wind. You know how those LSU linebackers can do. But a guy like Brooks down at Texas Tech, he's one of the best run defenders. And with the Eagles liking to play nickel, basically a 2-linebacker front, bringing Jalen Mills down to safety to help out a little bit. I think you need a run stuffer, and I think Brooks would be a great pickup in the second round.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Jalen Mills, Stevie. Just real quick.
No, go ahead.
So we should be looking probably at a replacement for Jalen Mills since he's only on a 1-year deal. We're looking if we can get that again, that second or third round pick. In addition, by trading down maybe once, twice, whatever the case may be. Who knows? Maybe we trade down to the first pick in the second round. If it works out that way, if the way the board runs. But then you get yourself someone like an Ashton Davis or a Jeremy Chin at safety. Even Antoine Winfield could fall that far. So those kind of guys there from a safety perspective would fill a gap as well.
Yeah, I think based on, the Eagles' past and the way they just don't prioritize the linebacker spot, which I think is a somewhat of a mistake because, like I told you, if one of the top 4 receivers aren't there, I have them getting Kenneth Murray. So I like them addressing the linebacker spot. However, I still think even if they trade down and get another pick before 3 or 1, whatever they pick in that second round, I still think it's going to be 2 receivers and a cornerback. I still think that I don't know how much they trust whoever it would be on the opposite side of Slay. I think right now it's probably casted to be Sidney Jones. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's a cornerback and 2 receivers in their first 3. Although I think it should be a linebacker.
I got a name for you, Jalen Johnson out of Utah.
Yeah, I got that name. Yep. Yeah, you're not going to get a disagreement from me.
Yep. Well, we're almost ready. It hasn't started yet. We had all the pomp and circumstance at the beginning. About 8:11, and I guess is anybody on the clock yet?
I think the Bengals are on the clock. I'm trying to watch ABC. They're in commercial right now. I got it on mute.
Yeah, my son.
But hold on, I got Bob Fisher here telling me what's up, Bob.
They haven't had a chance to boom yet.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to pipe in booze into his basement.
No, they got something going on with that.
Did they?
Yeah, they had an interview with him earlier.
Oh wow.
And now here's what I'm saying. If they trade down,
No, nobody's on the clock here.
and Coffee, maybe you can elaborate more on this. If they trade down and get another pick with the way they unfortunately don't prioritize the linebacker spot, I could see 3 players such as, and I know, Al, you're on a fun trading website that you go on, but I could see something like possibly Mims, Hamler, and Diggs. You know what I mean? There's a cornerback and there's 2 receivers that are in that and aren't in that top 4, but are certainly in that possible next 10. And now all of a sudden you've gotten 2 receivers in this draft and a quarterback, although you've still left your linebacker out there. But that's kind of what I see if they do trade down.
Where do you see Diggs falling then? How are you going to get Diggs in that situation? Because Diggs is a relatively high. He's up high on the board, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I'm saying, let's just say they trade and move down only, and they were able to acquire another second by moving down. Now, all of a sudden, you have whoever you flip flop with at 26, 27, whatever. You have your pick at 53, and whatever pick you acquire in that second round, there's your 3 picks prior to either there or around 53. And you know, don't get me wrong, Al. You mentioned a name earlier in our show here tonight that I love as well, and that's Rieger.
Yeah.
He would be in my top half, ahead of the Ayuks, or however you pronounce the name. I apologize.
Yeah, Ayuk, you got it.
If I'm destroying it. But I like him as much as Mims and any of them, to be honest with you. I know T. Higgins is in that group somewhere. I get it.
Yeah.
But I like Rieger.
Kuiper's got Ayuk at 23 overall. 23 overall.
Yeah, I've seen a couple where
He's got Rieger somewhere in the 30s, or like the low 30s, I think.
I've seen a couple where if the top 4 are all gone, the Eagles take an Ayuk.
I would be okay with it, as long as they match him up with somebody that, if you can match him up with Hamler.
Yeah, I get it.
Or well, you know what? They're both outside wide receivers, because I don't think is Hamler a slot receiver, Coffee?
I think he's more of a slot. I mean, listed at 5'10", 5'9". I mean, he may be smaller than that. Kind of a Deshaun Jackson Jr. I don't think he's as top end fast as Deshaun, but he's a 4.4 guy, maybe 4.3. But I think if you come out with 2 receivers and a defender, whether it be corner, safety, or even linebacker, I think you're great in your first 3 picks wherever they fall. Again, how he's got to kind of just look at the money and the ramifications of what you got to get up to get those 3 guys. And you know, if you jump up to say 12, you jump up to 12 and you get Ruggs, you got your speed guy, go get you a big body Alshon type T. Higgins guy in the second round, or get you a defender. You know, if you get a well-rounded receiver early on, then you can get 2, balanced receivers, a Jefferson and a guy like Rager or Ayuk. You know, Chenault as a guy who I really like with his ability. Because they still got, I think personally, another 2 to 3 years. If with health, the question is his health with Deshaun, because he could still run and take the roof off of coverages. Greg Ward showed a lot at the wide receiver position. I think he's got a spot at that number 3 to kind of replace Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah.
I think they got 2 pieces they can use, best tight end group in the league, a running back that you can use anywhere on the field of Miles Sanders. I think they got weapons and they got options to go whenever the board falls. They don't have to give up too much to get what they want.
Just a quick question. What's your guys' opinion on the receiver from Notre Dame? I know he's a big receiver.
Claypool?
First, the hugs.
Oh, there we go.
During that special moment with the player when he is selected is a big highlight for me. My body won't miss those great big bear hugs, but I sure will.
Yeah, I'm talking about the receiver.
Instead, we'll find other ways to have fun virtually.
5, runs a 4.5.
Second, I will miss the interaction I have with her 3 days. It's a draft tradition and one that I genuinely enjoy. Let's hear from you right now. Oh, come on, guys. You can do better than that. Let's go. Oh, straight hand. Come on, let's go. Come on, you guys can do better than that. All right,
That's
keep
awesome.
it coming. Wow, even the virtual boos are good. Yes, I can hear you from my basement, so keep it coming.
Say hi.
Lastly, the best part of the draft is that it restores hope and generates optimism, because every team gets better through the draft. So good luck to every team, and let's get it started. It's now my honor to announce that the first ever virtual NFL draft is officially open. The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock.
Pick should already be in. Don't waste any time.
Commissioner, thanks very much. We told you we'd have some booze for you. Zach Taylor is there looking to make his first selection. Duke.
I turned it down. Okay.
Of course,
So, Coffee, you mentioned Chenault.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Did you hear me, Coffee?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. You mentioned Chenault. You like him, huh?
I do. I mean, you talk about his run after the catch ability. If you still got a guy on your roster like Deshaun that can stretch the field, Greg Ward can work the kind of the middle of the field along with this tight end group. Alshon can still be a 50-50 guy that can go up and make contested catches and bail you out of trouble. A guy like Chenault, he led of all the receivers in this draft, he had the highest yard after the catch average, almost 10 yards after the catch with his receptions this year at Colorado. So you just get the ball in his hands, kind of open up that lateral passing game for Carson Wentz, save some hits on him, take some pressure off of your first-year starter at left tackle in Andre Dillard, get the ball out, some of those bubble screens and quick screens, and get yardage that way. It's kind of an extension of your running game, those RPOs. I think he'd be a great fit. At 21, I think maybe it's a stretch. I think he may still be on the board, even a little back past that if they move down to 25 and can get him a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I actually think Chenault could probably move into the upper part of the second round.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, just real quick. I want to make sure that you can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, we got.
I'm not really 100% sure if this is legit, the way that I'm doing the broadcast in our window. But
No, it's
I
coming
think
across.
I love it.
Yeah, it's all right. Man, talk about add another element. Doug Stasic never lets you down.
That's it.
I got a special guest here, Mr. Bob Fisher, and of course my wife. She's shaking the pom poms for the Eagles to trade out of number 21. You should see her. She's doing some cheers over there.
My Penn State boy Matos is going to the Vikings.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I see a comment from a family member, Adam Moratelli, saying that the linebacker he wants is Isaiah Simmons. I definitely get why. However, I'm not sure Isaiah Simmons is going to be around for us when we have the pleasure of drafting here.
Yeah, so I think what was it your cousin you said? I think he's trying to make a point that the only person the Eagles should get in the first round would be Isaiah Simmons and not oh my gosh, I'm drawing all of a sudden I had a brain cramp. Murray or
Queen. Patrick Queen. Yeah, I guess.
So I think that's the kind of point he's trying to make is that if you're going to fall down to 21 and then you're hoping you get your wide receiver, but the board's got to be fluid. It's got to be fluid the whole time. You can't just make an assumption that I'm going to focus on this one guy. Those guys have at least a list of 5, 6, 10 guys at that spot. And Coffee could probably speak to that most than any of us. That's probably the play. They got about 10 guys, maybe less, maybe a shorter list that fall to 21. And if they're not there, they're going to trade out or trade up if they have to. So
I do agree with that. And with that being said, there's something about the mentality of some of these players. Look, only 32 guys are going to get picked tonight. So there's going to be a lot of people that had first-round grades and aspirations and their agents and people calling them that are going to have a chip on their shoulder. They're going to be pissed off at me. I just seen a lot of replays from NFL just today about Lamar Jackson when he got traded, where he was sitting in the draft room and, in the green room with his mom and waiting to be the last pick of the draft. He comes out and he's angry. He's a little bit, upset in his interview with Deion Sanders because he felt like he should have went higher. And these guys that you do find there in the second round, as soon as tonight's over, the phone's going to be ringing to the Bengals again to get up to 33 to get one of those guys because guys are going to be pissed off and they're going to be wanting to play for a bigger contract and a chip on their shoulder to prove they should have been a first-round pick.
Yeah, and to your point, Coffee, that's exactly the reason why I'm saying this trading back, maybe unless you've got somebody that's just going to drop in your lap that you cannot turn away. That's why I really believe this trading back is the option for the Philadelphia Eagles.
That scenario definitely fits. And again, it sounds like we're all in mutual agreement with that. I have no problem doing that because, again, you satisfy a couple needs rather than just your glaring one.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, Doug, I'm going to step away for just a minute, okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right, thanks.
So I'm kind of cracking up, guys, because a guy like Zach Taylor, you're looking at Duke Tobin right now, and I think our setups are just as nice. I don't know.
Coffee, watch Doug's reaction to this one. You ready? Yeah,
Ready.
I agree. Our stuff's really good. I really got to give Al a lot of credit for all of those. All of the.
Yeah,
I can't even get it out. I'm sorry, Doug.
well, we got to give a shout out to
All of the graphics.
Reese, because she does phenomenal with our graphics, and so I get a chance to put them all together, but I can't create them, man. So
I thought Al did that.
oh yeah, Al. Yeah, Al orders stuff like at Grubhub. Like, yo, can I get maybe like a 20-piece wing delivered?
Yeah, but she does a great job. You're right. So that's a great chance to compliment her and give her the kudos she deserves.
Yeah. So Coffee, looks like you got one of your boys there, Christian Johnson.
Yeah, man. Christian was my teammate. He was our team captain when I came into Philadelphia Soul. Played at the University of Kentucky. Actually was with the Bengals in camp when he came out of school. Bounced around. His brother Micah Johnson is one of the best players in Canada as a defensive lineman. Let me just say that the CFL knows who Micah Johnson, CJ's older brother, is. But Christian, after playing with me with the Soul in 2013, the Arizona Cardinals signed him that offseason going into 2014, and he spent a lot of training camp in the offseason with the Cardinals. So there was a lot of movement from the Soul, especially, but from the Arena League up to the NFL, and it was great to see a guy like CJ make his move.
Well, he's putting you to work. He wants
Miami,
to grab to it.
I don't think so. I think the Miami Dolphins will probably get some calls for that spot. You got a lot of picks in these quarterbacks right now. I think it's a deep class, just as deep as the wide receiver for the teams that need quarterbacks. And you talk about Eason. I'm a big Jake Fromm guy. I hope he goes to New England and Belichick can start all over with Jake Fromm. But for the Dolphins, to answer the question, CJ, I think because of what the people are saying, the experts are saying, they're going to take Herbert and pass on Tua. He's going to be sitting there for the Chargers, and Tua's going to come to L.A., which is closer to his family in Hawaii.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Hawaii's a nice place to be.
Exactly. So his family gets to take one quick flight to L.A. and see him play instead of going all the way to Miami.
So how about this? We've talked about Tua. We've talked about Herbert. We've talked about obviously Burrow is probably going to go right here at number one. What's your guys' opinion on Jordan Love? We don't get to talk about him much, but Jordan Love, I think, could sneak into this first round.
Well, Stevie, it looks like the first ever pick from whom is going to be in, so I'm going to mute myself and then try to unmute the
That awning plugged into the outlet, right?
Burrow effect away from the field, including restaurants in the Plains, Ohio, naming meals and omelets after him. Look at him celebrating with the fans after he came back after that win over Alabama, and then changing his jersey name to Burrow in classic Louisiana style. He was in every way the Lion King as he won that Heisman Trophy in a landslide and over $500,000 raised to the Athens Food Pantry. Even got a giraffe named after him. He put up a sign in Baton Rouge this week thanking them for everything they've done. And, of course, self-deflecting as well, basically monitoring and saying, I haven't gotten a haircut in a month, so don't make fun of me. I couldn't get to the barber and get cleaned up. But, ladies and gentlemen, the pick is in. The Bengals have turned in their selection. Let us go to the commissioner.
Okay, here we go. With the first pick in the 2020 draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow, quarterback, LSU.
I'm surprised.
And there you see Joe with mom and dad, and you have to wonder what's going through his mind right now. Remember, when he entered the transfer portal, he said one more time he wanted to go to Nebraska, and Scott Frost, the coach, said, is he better than what we got? The answer is yes. Mel Kiper, what do you like most about Joe Burrow's game?
I love Trey Wingo.
I know. The good part about my mock draft is so far, just like everyone else in the country, I'm 1 for 1.
Yeah, I want to know.
I don't know. Joe Burrow act like he was just right first in the playground. There's no reaction. So Coffee, I mean, that's just because you try to play cool. What's that no reaction deal?
It's tough, you know. It's tough. Guy's gone through a lot in his career, but I'm happy for the Bengals. I got a lot of family in Cincinnati, and they're obviously they're moving on from the Andy Dalton era. Me being a big Georgia fan, you got somebody to try to get him the football to AJ Green, so I'm excited about that.
All right, fair enough. It's just, I think it's going to be huge. You want to talk about a guy that keeps the dynamic offense and looks over like, I mean, this kid, he definitely has ever.
I mean, he arguably had as good a year last year as any college quarterback could really have.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, my God. He put up, I mean, every week he's throwing 4 or 5 touchdowns. The way he ran through the playoff scenario, I mean, he deserved this #1 pick.
Yeah, the Bengals got their guy, and they had to get their guy. Their franchise quarterback for the next 10, 12 years.
Guys, give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
All right. All right, so 5 minutes left on the clock here.
Hey, Doug, something with your microphone. You sound like you're like echoing a little bit, right, Coffee?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he sounds a little bit. You sound a little bit echoey, or. So you're asking about this next pick? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take the microphone. I'm taking this out. I can mute myself here. Yeah, definitely got to be Chase Young. Actually, Chase Young's the best player in the draft.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. I mean, looking at his production.
Best player in the draft.
I mean, I remember that USC bowl game that they played a few years ago. I think it was Sam Darnold's coming out year, and he got sacked about 8 or 9 times. Bosa was still there at Ohio State, and that was kind of Chase Young's coming out party. I think he had 4 sacks in that game as just a freshman. You know, and it was like, man, this kid's got the frame, and he's turning the corner. And obviously, the lineage of Ohio State pass rushers the last few years was going to groom him to be one of the best. And 2 years later, he's the best player in the draft. But the Bengals obviously have a need that they're going to move on from Andy Dalton, the quarterback, and they went with quarterback first.
I think Joe Burrow is going to be a really nice. He's going to be a nice NFL quarterback. He's got all the skill set that you're looking for. Great footwork, great arm, good leadership. I think he's going to be a nice NFL quarterback for years for Cincinnati.
I do like that comparison to Tom Brady, just that pocket mobility. I know Jaws always talks about that. Yeah. Don't really care what a guy runs in the 40. Can you move in the pocket? Functional mobility he always talks about. And Joe Burrow doing that has been amazing this year. Obviously, the weapons he had were phenomenal. We probably have 9 draft picks from that LSU team in this draft this weekend. But his mobility in the pocket and his vision has been phenomenal.
Yep. Picks in for the Redskins. Curious to see what happens at number 3 if that trade goes down between Miami and Detroit.
This is where it could get interesting after the Redskins.
Yep.
What would you have said?
I would have told you were crazy. You know, I knew I was going to have a really good season because I knew, you know, we had really good players coming back. I had great coaches, and we were going to work really, really hard to do it. But to jump up to number 1 overall is crazy to me. But it's a dream come true.
Mel Kiper shared earlier that going into last season, he had a 6th-round grade on you, but then you won the Heisman, a national title. You're number 1 overall. How do you process that?
Well, I wasn't very good my junior year. You know, it's pretty simple. I worked really hard to get better. All my guys worked really, really hard to get better. We just gelled as a team this year to do exactly what we did. I just wasn't as good as I was my senior year. But I worked really, really hard to improve.
Tell us what the area code represents on your shirt.
740. This is Athens County area. I wanted to get something to represent my home area, my hometown, and Nike made this for me. It's been great. I just want to show as much appreciation to this area as I can.
Joe, congratulations. #1 overall.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Not sold on Chase, Christian Johnson.
Susie, Joe, thanks very much. Congratulations, Washington.
That's my guy CJ. He's from the Virginia DMV area, so I know he's got some Redskin love. And honestly, you got to be sold on Chase as a player. I think hopefully what CJ's saying, he's not sold on him at #2 because they've got other needs that they may need to address. But for what you're going to spend for the #2 pick in the draft, there's only one, maybe two guys that'll give you that type of value. To pick them second overall, and Chase Young is one of those guys. They do have some other holes. If somebody's on the phone trying to make a trade, you maybe listen to them, but it's too late now. I think they've already decided. Take Chase Young, let him wreak havoc. You need a pass rusher. Ryan Kerrigan's been great, but you get a guy opposite him with Chase Young, you've got a dynamic duo like some of these other teams have around the league. You can start to get after some quarterbacks.
I think Kerrigan's getting up there as well, isn't he?
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Up there. Let's see what this says here. John Roach. Guys, talk about the important.
Yes.
Let's go to Roger Goodell.
With the second pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, Washington Redskins select Chase Young, defensive end, Ohio State. Congratulations, Chase.
Yeah, surprised. Not a lot of excitement.
So there you see Chase, a very, very happy young man, a team captain in the nucleus of that defense that allowed the fewest total yards per game in the nation last season. I guess crab cakes and football, that's what Maryland does, because Chase Young, born in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, second straight year that Washington has gone the Maryland route for a first-round pick, taking Dwayne Haskins. They're played with NBA #1 overall pick Markelle Fultz at one point. Dwayne Haskins grew up about 27 miles away from where the Redskins train, and Chase Young about 55 miles from the Redskins practice facility in Ashburn, Virginia. So we are clearly seeing a pattern. Booger, Chase Young was a dominant force. We talked about the sacks he was able to get at Ohio State. What is Washington getting?
Well, quite simply, Trey, they're getting the best player in this entire draft. He can affect the game, not only on first and second down, setting the edge, playing the run, but he can also be a dominant pass rusher on third down. You want to overset him as an offensive tackle, I have the agility to come inside. And he learned that at Ohio State from one of the best defensive line coaches in America, Larry Johnson. Got to give him a lot of love for what he's done the last 2 years with the Bosa brothers and now Chase Young. But you're getting a guy who can be a Hall of Fame type player. Bill Polian once said, when you draft guys in the top 10, they have to be worthy of wearing a gold jacket. And this young man, Chase Young, he definitely is a versatile defensive end that can play the left side or the right side. And if you're the Redskins, Montez Sweat on the right side, now Chase Young on the left side, you have a very, very good pair of bookends.
Question for Dak Prescott with Carson Wentz and emerging Daniel Jones. Now you get the outside pass rush. Hopefully Sweat comes on. Chase.
You've got Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, and Kerrigan on that defensive pass rush of the Redskins. They're loaded.
I forgot all about Montez Sweat.
Yeah, they're pretty good there.
Allen, Payne. I mean, these are Alabama, Mississippi State, Ohio State. These are big-time draft picks that they're going to be coming after people. You better get you some offensive linemen or get Carson some weapons. A guy like Chenault, they can get the ball out in a bubble screen and let him run and get him away from Chase Young.
Yeah, you're right. The Matha High School product as well, right there in the area.
Hey guys, breaking news here. My wife just informed me, since this is Christmas Day for me, she decided to buy herself something online for Christmas. Since it's Christmas Day, she wants to make it for everybody. So she bought herself something online.
What's that?
Make that breaking news call there. I can't imagine what she bought. And I hope it's not too expensive.
That's big time. That's big time. Can you guys hear me now? Am I any better?
Sir. Much better. Much better. Much better.
Yes. So, I'm having some technical creativity on my end. So, just so you know, the stream that you're seeing for the NFL is my camera, and the microphone is where I'm talking. So, I'll make it work. Don't you guys worry about me. But Al, every once in a while, if you could maybe read the chat bar as part of the guy in the broadcast not watching.
I did.
That would be better.
No, I did.
Okay.
No, I did. Well, John Roach had his long. You got to put that one back up.
No, I'm talking about our production chat.
Oh
my Lord!
Chat.
Wow,
okay,
look at this. It's I want to say shout out to my boy Brian Costanzo who's watching.
I was just going to say I saw that. What's up, Brian?
He's definitely sipping whiskey. I guarantee it. I haven't seen a picture, but I wouldn't be surprised. So feel free. And actually, he's an in-house Steelers guy, so maybe I need to send him an invite and let him kind of talk about what the Steelers might be looking for. They don't have a pick in the first round.
Well, they're not looking for anything in the first round.
No, they're not.
Because they're one of the 5 teams without one. Although I definitely agree with you. Brian's probably enjoying a sip of whiskey, and I don't blame him.
All right, so it looks like the pick is in. So when they go to when they go back to the commish, I will change the line.
There's no trade. It's a Coda camera, Kodak.
Coda. It could be Brown. I mean, they need some help on that defensive line. I think Derek Brown's a great. He's just as dominant as Chase Young has been, and in the SEC, I mean, there's a lot of defensive linemen that have been great this year. Derek Brown was a monster.
I think it's Okuda.
Okuda.
Yep.
It's a good pick. Good pick by the Lions. It makes
sense.
All
right, so now that crazy scenario
Texas, where Jeff Okuda is from, the quarterback goes up the board. Here's what's really interesting. The top 3 picks in this draft at one time or another all played at Ohio State University. Pick 1 at Jeff Okuda and everything that he's done. He was the number 1 cornerback in the ESPN class of 2017. His mother died 6 days after his first day on campus as an early entrant at Ohio State in January of 2017. He wears a bracelet for his mother, Maria Kuda, in her memory, and wrote a really heartfelt letter to her after she had passed away, saying all the things that she had meant to him and helped him along the way. And now Jeff Okuda, by the way, also was an academic star at Ohio State, carrying a GPA of 3.0. Jeff, we thought this would be the number 1 corner off the board. We've gone chalk. What do you like most about what you see in Okuda's game?
Well, Trey, I see the size and the length and somebody that is outstanding in press coverage. He wants to play physical at the line of scrimmage. We saw him do it against some of the best wide receivers in this year's draft class. He's got the fluidity to be able to open up. He can drive on the football. He can find and play the football. So I thought he was the most complete cornerback in this year's draft class, and I honestly did not think it was very close. The Detroit Lions have to get better against the pass, and this was the best option for them to get that done.
Now, what do you like about it? Well, you look at him and you got a complete corner, a guy that will tackle. That's so important in this league now, where the short passes come up and make the tackle on those elusive receivers and in the run game. Jeff Okuda is a very confident corner. That's going to call for penalties. He understands how to break up a pass and not draw the flag. That's critical in the National Football League. I think Derek Brown, defensive tackle, offers was tempting for the Detroit Lions. But you got Darius Slay moving on. You need that lockdown corner. That's what Jeff Okuda will be expected to be. You'll be, hope to be, Stephon Gilmore with the Detroit Lions.
There you see a very happy Matt Patricia, the head coach. And by the way, this is the 6th time in 7 years the Buckeyes have a cornerback taken in the first round of the draft.
Steve, you got
and there you see Bob Quinn also very, very happy. And we have a theme for the first 3 draft picks of 2020. Burrow, Chase Young, and Okuda.
Yeah, I had Okuda at 3. That crazy scenario that we were unable to get any confirmation from, however, right now does exist. With Okuda gone, if there's any truth to that crazy scenario of the Eagles moving up to 6 with the Chargers, now that Okuda's gone, I guess could possibly come to fruition.
It could.
I mean, I don't see it, but it's far fetched, and I don't see the Eagles giving up what they have to give up to move up that high. But we'll see
I
if
wouldn't
there's.
do it.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, you're mortgaging your future on one guy. And what if he's a flop? I just think the value is so much. I'm sticking by it. I'm not wavering off of it. It depends on how the board flows. I mean, if a guy like Jefferson falls down to 21, I really do like him. I think he's the most pro. Well, is he the most pro ready? Yes, no. Judy is as well. But yeah, again, it's a fluid situation. I mean, CeeDee Lamb falls down and you got a shot at him at 14. I definitely would think about doing it.
Yeah. And again, that's more feasible moving up. What would that be? 7 picks rather than 15 to get to here, get to 6. However, we talked earlier. This is where an interesting decision that the Giants have now. I said I think this could be offensive tackle based on the fact that they already addressed the defensive side of the ball twice in Blake Martinez and Bradbury. I have Wirfs going here. Another young man. We talked about Becton's size. Here's a guy 6'5". He's not 364 like Becton, but he's 324 in his own right, and he even ran a quicker 40 at 4.8.
Yeah, Becton's more of a developmental. I think he's not necessarily pro ready. Wirfs is the guy that can step in right away.
Yeah, I have Wirfs here. However,
how do you pass up Isaiah Simmons?
No, I get it. I definitely get it.
I mean,
a lot of mock drafts have Simmons going here.
Yep. But no, I definitely see your point with Wirfs. Definitely.
Listen, you got a young quarterback there. Coffee talked about protecting Wentz earlier against that Redskins line. I think they're looking at the same scenario here. Listen, if we got a young quarterback and we want him to excel and be able to run the stuff that they want to run, not only through Saquon Barkley but in the passing game, you're going to have to protect the kid. And I really like the offensive line pick here. And like I said, if I'm the Giants, it's Wirfs for me.
Well, is there any chance that these guys actually mess this up and go with a receiver since they traded Beckham? You got a young quarterback, you got a stud running back. I mean, and we are talking about the Giants.
That's what I was going to say. It is the New York Giants.
I was just thinking that as the screen rolled by, they're showing Mel Kiper's best available. And for some reason, Jerry Jeudy's name came by as his 5th best available. And I'm like, what if the Giants just took Jeudy right now? Just went, you know what? We're going to take a receiver. We think he's the best guy. We got our trio. We got our quarterback, our running back. Now we got a receiver. They may, you may do something like that.
All right. Well, for NFC East Eagles, I would hope that maybe that happens because defensively, these guys don't scare me.
Nah, not at all.
They need offensive line help, though.
Here's how far I'll go with it. If the Giants take Jerry Jeudy right here, I'm going to contact our buddy Brian Costanzo for a sip of that whiskey because I just don't see Jerry Jeudy right here.
We got some comments too. So Chris, he's saying whiskey. He's all in on that one.
Yeah, that's a good friend of mine from the Williamstown area. Racehorse owner. I think we're talking some stuff with him possibly for the Preakness that we were going to do for the Derby. Really good business person, really good guy, good assistant basketball coach at St. Joe Hamilton. Thanks for reaching out, Chris.
Yeah, Nick Ward, he's although he's a Packers lover, he's thinking offensive tackle here personally.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree. I think that should be the pick. That should be the pick for the Giants is offensive tackle, no doubt.
Yeah, and it looks like John Roach saying a rush of picks. They're throwing out this question again. Here's one. The top 7 to 9 receivers everyone's talking about, who don't you like for the Eagles? It's a good question.
You know what's funny? Coffee's guy actually, Laviska Shenault. I don't know if I really like him that much. And I'm not saying that's just a personal opinion. Obviously, I'm going to respect Coffee's ability to evaluate because of his pro experience. But there's something about Shenault that I don't know. There's something I can't quite put my finger on it.
I understand it, and I would say this: if the Eagles were starting from scratch, if they didn't have, if Alshon and Deshaun Jackson were both gone, I wouldn't think Shenault. I would think more of a well-rounded, complete receiver Chenault's kind of some people say a one-year wonder guy, with the big explosive year out of Colorado, and he's not as polished as some of the other receivers that will even be taken probably after him. When you talk about, Jefferson, the kid out of Notre Dame, Duvernay, I like that guy later in the rounds out of Texas. There's a lot of guys you can get that are more polished as receivers. But what they have, you got your 50-50 guy, you got your speed guy, you got your slot guy, 2 great tight ends. A run after the catch guy would be perfect. I think that would be why I choose Chenault. But I do understand that he would be the perfect fit if you're looking for a number 1 or a complete wide receiver.
You know what? There's a guy that's actually shooting up the boards, at least on Mel Kiper's. Michael Pittman. They're saying because of his speed and size and the fact that he does not – I think he dropped 1.8% passes thrown to him. And that's a guy right there that, I could see the Eagles maybe sneaking in if they got a smaller wide receiver like either Rieger or Ruggs or someone like that, and then coming back with Michael Pittman. That'd be a nice little combo right there, fellas.
Yeah.
So if I read that last comment right, it was asking which one of the top 7 or 9 that we don't like. Believe it or not, for me, that would be Ayuk, and I don't know why.
Made it clear.
I'm sorry, the Giants picked him. So.
Isaiah Simmons is still there. Dabo Swinney has called him a beautiful football player. What will the Giants do? The pick is in. Let's go to the commish.
With the 4th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Andrew Thomas, tackle, Georgia.
Hey.
Not a surprise that it's an offensive lineman, but perhaps somewhat of a surprise that it's this offensive lineman, Andrew Thomas. As a junior last season, he won the SEC's Jacob Blocking Trophy and was a consensus All-American. Now, what's really interesting about him is that not only did he play high school football, but as you can see, he was what we call a percussionist at Pace Academy, which is a fancy way of saying he played the drums. Now, his high school coach was Chris Slade, a defensive end who played a lot of years in the NFL, and he said, look, I'm glad that you play the drums, but if you take this football thing a little more seriously, you might play in the NFL. And DJ, that turned out to be very sage advice from Chris Slade.
So Thomas,
that's right. He started 41 games in the SEC. He's played left tackle. He's played right tackle. Everybody had these tackles in a different order. For me, he was my 4th offensive tackle, but I do feel like he has a very high floor. You know exactly what you're getting with him. He's going to be able to uproot people in the run game, and he's going to have a firm anchor in pass protection to hold up there. I did not see elite recoverability, elite quickness, or elite athleticism. I think that they've got themselves a solid, steady player, but I thought there were better options on the board at the position at this point in time if they were going to go tackle.
Lewis, what do you think?
Yeah, look, I kind of agree with DJ. Look, ball offensive tackle, I really thought Jedrick.
So now we got the Dolphins on the board, fellas, right? Is this two or is this
Koff, didn't you mention him earlier, Andrew Thomas?
Yes, I told you, I thought he was the most complete or NFL ready tackle right now. He played left tackle, started early in his career when he came in as a freshman. He's played against the Alabamas, the LSUs, some of the best pass rushers that you've seen in a long time. Obviously, people think about the running backs that have came out of Georgia, from Todd Gurley to Michelle to Nick Chubb. I mean, these guys have been running. DeAndre Swift, they've been running right behind this guy, one of the best tackles in this draft. You could have went either way with who you wanted. It was kind of, what flavor ice cream do you like? It's funny when you talk about the Miami Dolphins right now. Simmons is still on the board. It's going to be Christmas come early for somebody because Simmons is still there that you thought he'd be gone by now.
Yeah, and I thought it was quarterback at 5'6" with Simmons at 7. That's still a possibility. In regards to Thomas, I had him 3rd on my offensive tackle list behind Wirfs and Wills. I had him going 10 to the Cleveland Browns, but, kudos to the Giants for stepping up and taking an offensive tackle, which we agreed to protect the young quarterback.
Yeah, definitely like the pick there for Thomas. 2nd rated overall, offensive tackle. Definitely a good move by the Giants.
So I got to tell you, I'm pushing the envelope with my technical capabilities.
You're doing it, man. You're killing it. Bob Fisher's over here. He's blown away. He thinks it's a Disney.
Let's hear what Bob Fisher has to say. He's definitely more entertaining than you are.
You want me to bring him in?
Yeah, bring him in. Let him in.
Bring in Bobby Fisher.
The Vikings are taking Matos at 25.
Well, Bob, that's great, but we're at number 5 right now. So thanks for the foresight. Who the Dolphins take right here, buddy? Number 5. Any thoughts?
Tua.
Tua?
Go ahead.
Tua. They're taking Tua.
There you go.
All right. So Nick Ward, reports are the Chargers and Dolphins both like Andrew Thomas. Well, I guess that answers that question.
Yeah.
I was a little late on the trigger. My apologies there, Nick. So
they got worse coming. So I mean, he's still there. Back to was nice.
So Brian Flores looks like he's licking his chops a little bit. Is it Tua or is it Love? Is there a chance that this is Love right here? Because I'm thinking, let's hear me out. Because Flores is a guy that's been enamored with Tom Brady for the whole period of time when he was at DC. So now here he is. I mean, Tua doesn't, his game isn't a Tom Brady-esque game. But if you look at their offense, they got some weapons. Do they need a quarterback that's going to run around? Or do they got a guy that's going to distribute the football and kind of be a little bit more, heavy feet in the pocket?
With all the hype here on top of Tua and Herbert, it would be shocking if Jordan. But I get your point, and I brought Jordan Love up about 5 minutes ago. I asked Coffee his opinion of Jordan Love, and could he sneak into these middle rounds? I was thinking it could be with a team like the Raiders. Let's say the Raiders would want their first of their 2 first-round picks, draft a receiver, and then John Gruden comes up with, I got to go get me a quarterback that I can see lasting here and being with me for a long time. And I wondered if that couldn't have been Jordan Love after Tua and Herbert. But you bring up a completely different scenario with Jordan Love going ahead of those 2.
Too early for Jordan Love, although I think he's got all the talent. I definitely think he's got all the talent.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised. If anything,
I'd love to hear it actually. Well, they're saying the pick is in. So let's see how quickly they're gonna jump on it here. You guys want to listen to Trey, or you got more to add to this one?
Now go ahead.
All right, here we go. Stand by.
I'm gonna step away for just a second.
Guys, if this was a normal run up to the draft, would this be as much of an issue as it is right now?
There might be people. There are people watching.
You look at it, he wouldn't be there if it weren't for the injury. They would have had to trade up to get him. But the offensive tackle is interesting. And then you circle back and get a quarterback at 18 if you pass on Tua and Herb. This is a fascinating pick. We've been talking about it, seems like, for 2 months every day.
Yeah, listen, it's going to be interesting. So, again, the Dolphins have the capital to do whatever they want here. Again, this is the first of their 3 picks in the first round. And there's still about 7 minutes to go. Oh, wait, we're hearing it now. The pick is in. Let's go to the commissioner and see what happens.
With the 5th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback, Alabama.
Well, there it is, which means for the first time since Kellen Moore, who is now the Cowboys offensive coordinator, threw a pass, we're going to have a left-hander who's going to throw a pass in the NFL, provided, of course, that Tua is healthy and ready to go when the season starts. But it's not just about the fractured hip and the dislocated hip. As you can see, Tua has dealt with a lot of injuries over his time at Alabama. A sprained knee, a left quad, a left ankle, a broken index finger. He's had spiral surgeries on both of his ankles. And then, of course, in November of 2019 on this play against Mississippi State, the dislocation and the fracture of the hip that sent Tua's.
That's just wrong for them to show that, man. That's just wrong.
I agree.
I agree.
I feel like I'm watching Theismann, man. That's not bad.
The kid's a true talent. I really like his talent. What did you say? I missed what he said.
I felt like he was watching
LT
do Theismann.
Oh.
Yeah. So listen, I mean, That's a great pick for the Miami Dolphins, considering where they've been.
Okay.
You look at the guys that they've added to the squad this year. I mean, hey, Tua just coffee with the injury though, man. I mean, is that just crazy? This high of a pick?
You know what? I mean, the kid, he can play, and the weapons they're going to put around him. I love Tua's game. I know he ripped my heart out as a Georgia fan on that 2nd and 26. We ran cover 2 and let him beat us for the national championship. But when I look at what Georgia and even teams like LSU, teams that have as much talent as Alabama, and give some NFL schemes, especially those zone coverages that Georgia like to run, sit back, drop 7 to 8 in the coverage. He struggled with those games. I'm going to just be honest with you. When you look back, the 2 Georgia games, Jalen Hurts came in to save him. Even the national championship he won as a freshman, that second half, he throws an interception. He takes a couple sacks. I mean, he took a sack before his game-winning throw. He bounces back. He's got the toughness in the heart. I'll give him that. But he can struggle a little bit. And that injury history, we're talking about it here with Carson Wentz, that's something big that the Dolphins are really going to have to, take their time with. And be patient, not just throw them in there day one thinking that they're going to try to win the AFC East this year and make the playoffs. Take your time with Tua. Do not rush it, and make this a 2 to 3 year plan to get him on the field.
Yeah, the injury history is definitely, I guess, a considering factor. However, I mentioned earlier the uncanny ability of being able to avoid the rush, his accuracy and his consistency goes a long way with NFL people. They're just high quality aspects for a quarterback, and I think it proved by taking him at 5.
Yeah, and John Roach is asking, hey, Coffee, he knows he was a hoops guy. You probably know Roach, Mr. Official himself. Yeah. So he's asked about Tua's injury. How hard is that kind of injury to recover from?
I mean, at the end of the day, from the quarterback position, the loss of mobility and downfield running, because Tua was a scrambler. I mean, even those games when I talk about against Georgia and LSU, he had to kind of move out of the pocket laterally to make some plays. Those LSU games for the past couple of years, he scrambled for some first downs to keep drives alive in some big ways. Now with the NFL scheme, defenders being faster, the hash mark being more narrow, you got a lot less field on each side of you to escape. You're going to have to protect him. So I think their next pick, they're going to be looking for some offensive line help. Maybe even talk to the Redskins about picking up a guy like Trent Williams to kind of bolster their offensive line and get some protection around him and make sure he gets rid of the football. That's the biggest thing. You don't have to be as mobile as you have to be in basketball to still be successful as a quarterback. You could be a statue down in there in the pocket, a guy like Brady or Breeze, where you can just functionally move and escape and get the ball out. You don't really have to worry about it. That's my job. It's my job to protect you, to keep guys off you. You just throw the football.
Hey, you know what, Coffee? Obviously, first-round picks are like gold, but they do still have 2 first-round picks left. They could always move up and get a nice stud offensive tackle.
Exactly. And look, and with a guy like Simmons, at every pick that Simmons is still on the board would be great for the Dolphins because they can always circle back and they'll know there'll be another tackle after Simmons going. So right now, the Chargers on the clock, they probably go quarterback. It's another pick that Simmons falls, and a team that may be thinking about a tackle, maybe not worrying about, what they can do defensively and say, we're going to take Simmons here. He's the best available. That'll leave another tackle on the board for the Dolphins to pick up and maybe get a running back with their last first-round pick.
Yeah, because
keep in mind, in the second round, the Dolphins have, I think, 3 second-round picks as well. And we kind of said that creating the whirlwind in regards to starting the trades in this draft, they ruled the roast when it came to that because of those 6 picks in the first 2. 3 first, 3 seconds for the Dolphins.
So now we move on to the 6th pick, the Chargers. This is where some of those rumors were starting about. Is there going to be a big move? And Stevie, is there a guy there? I don't think he is, right?
I don't know. Like I said, my son got it off an NFL Insider report earlier today, sometime around 11:30 this morning. The scenario is set up creating what that rumor was, and that rumor was very simply with Herbert here, who they like, with Jordan Love still available. If the Chargers wanted to trade out of here, they said that the Eagles had a tentative agreement in place with the Chargers to move up here and take CD Lamb. I have said that that's not what my opinion of what they should be. I think 6 is way. I don't know what they could even package to get up at 15 picks to number 6. However, the scenario presents itself. I agree with Coffee. How Isaiah Simmons is still here is beyond me. However, I don't think if he doesn't go here, I don't see him getting by Carolina at 7 at all. I would be shocked.
No.
Isaiah Simmons. I don't know how
I think
Simmons is still on this board.
If someone wants Simmons, they're going to have to trade up. I don't think Chargers take him here because I think they have a good linebacker core there.
Yeah, they got a linebacking core, but you don't have a stud quarterback. I mean, you're really gonna ride with Taylor?
I'm talking. Well, I thought you just mentioned about linebacker and Isaiah Simmons. That's why I made that comment, Doug. Don't get on my case.
I think Simmons goes to Carolina. I mean, stay right close to home. That'd be a perfect scenario for the Panthers.
You notice how I just covered Al's face up? That was pretty slick right there. So, guys,
thanks a lot, Doug.
great stuff tonight. You're giving twice the info versus ESPN without the commercials and fluff.
They got to pay bills.
There you go.
Yeah,
appreciate it, John.
Love you, buddy.
Bills are important. So the Chargers pick is in. So I got to work. I got some clicking to do. Stand by.
Yeah. It's Herbert. Yeah, it's. Yep.
There it is. Justin Herbert. Well, it makes sense, fellas.
Eugene, one thing you won't have to worry about when you're talking about Justin Herbert is his ability to understand the playbook. He carried a GPA of over 4 while earning a general science degree with a focus in biology. I think picking up naked blitzes might not be a problem. For him, he came on as a 6th stringer and slowly but surely worked his way up the draft chart and the quarterback chart at Oregon. He has a lot of family history. He is a kid from Eugene, Justin Herbert, and a lot of guts in his background. Grandfather Roger ran track at Oregon State. His other grandfather, Rich, played football at Oregon. His father, Mark, played at Montana for the Grizzlies, football and track. His brother played at Montana State, a football player there. Patrick also played at Oregon. And then there's Justin, played basketball, baseball, and football in high school.
I'm thinking Isaiah Simmons or Brown here. I don't know how the Carolina Panthers, right? They're on the clock. I can't see how they can pass up either one of those two guys. Especially after losing keeper.
Yeah, I said if he didn't go to the Giants at 4, this would be the pick for Isaiah Simmons. And although, my God, Derek Brown's tough to pass up as well. He's just he is really good.
Yeah, it's hard for me to kind of keep up with switching microphones and cameras and stuff. So, no doubt. I mean, this pick right there, you had to surprise me. You have nobody to run that offense. I mean, if you let Phillip Rivers go, this is the time that you're putting all your chips on the table saying, we got to do something. And I mean, do you really think that they thought initially they were going to get Tom Brady for this year before all this stuff played out when he went to Tampa Bay and just kind of forced their hand to go get a quarterback?
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, hey, listen, the cupboard was bare there at the quarterback spot, like you said, after Rivers taking off. And it was just a matter, in my opinion, of which one they got. Was it Herbert or was it Tua? Miami played their cards there with Tua, and Herbert is who they ended up with.
I'm just loving watching all these Oregon uniform changes every time they show a different clip of Justin Herbert.
Boy, they got it down, don't they?
Jeez. Man, they never wear the same uniforms twice. Never wear the same combination. Honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. Oregon Ducks made me leave Illinois State when I first left junior college as a freshman. I was a qualifier out of high school. Was eligible to go Division I after my first year. I left with the Illinois State, and my teammate, he was a kicker and a punter from my high school, Jose Arroyo. He stayed his second year and went to Oregon, and I never forget talking to him that first season, and I'm getting ready for spring ball, and he gets on campus in Oregon, and he's like, man, he's telling me all the gear he got, and this and that, travel gear, these shoes, that shoes, and the NCAA video game came out, and he was on the game, and I'm like, I got to go D1. I got to make a decision. So I ended up transferring out of Illinois State, going back to JUCO, and ended up at Idaho to at least get on the video game and go Division I. Like I said, what I wanted to do.
And I think Carolina takes a tackle.
Yeah, Oregon has so much gear that I think they change it at halftime.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I've talked to Joe Pisarcik's son. He was Joe Pisarcik was around us with the NFL alumni with Jaws and I, and his son was there, and he would show me all the gear that his son has, every helmet. I mean, it's so much stuff. I see why recruiting was so easy for them, so other teams, started to catch up, with their Under Armour and Adidas contracts, but Nike is taking care of Oregon clearly.
Woo! Big time. All right, so I'm going to go firm. I think we're going Isaiah Simmons here for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, the pick's already in. They made it fast. They didn't waste any time.
Yeah, I think Kuechly's gone. Makes sense. Kuechly retired. I think it makes sense. Back
Thomas Davis is gone. You still got Jack Thompson.
Yeah.
I think that's a good pick.
Yep. Stevie, agree?
Yes. Like I said, I had Isaiah Simmons here if it wasn't at 4 with the Giants. And I thought it was going to be here because the Giants had already addressed the defensive side of the ball twice. This is Isaiah Simmons, in my opinion.
So are you 6 for 6 now or no?
No, I am not. I had Herbert and Tua flip-flopped.
Oh, okay.
I had Herbert going to Miami and Tua to the Chargers.
Do you know if anybody in your little pool there is perfect or no?
The last I saw, there a gentleman from down in Woodbine was 5 for the first 5.
Oh.
So, but then that site crashed. You know how we deal with these technical difficulties at times, right? That site crashed, so I'm waiting to hear any updates from that at this point. But he was 5 for the first 5.
So John Roach, my buddy from college, was actually an editor of. And you know what? He's going to have to put it up on a. He's got the Senate because I can't remember, but I believe it was some type of sports magazine. So he's definitely a big sports guy, so that's why he's been chiming in a lot. Good dude, man. Definitely knows his stuff about sports. So we need John to jump right back in and tell us where he was. And actually, I'm curious what he's doing now. He says he's living out towards Penn. There it is. Cash that video game cheap coffee. Oh, John Roach. John Roach is a big fan of coffee. Yeah, good guy right there, coffee. Oh, here we go. If we get a certain pick, will we know the Eagles aren't trading up? If we get to a certain pick, will we know the Eagles aren't trading up? And hey, John, in my opinion, and guys, you can jump in right after me. It depends on how the board flows. I really believe number one priority is wide receiver. If players are starting to drop down, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Justin Jefferson, then we start to consider trading up. But I would not trade up any higher than maybe 14. I honestly believe the wide receivers are going to drop down because there's going to be a big demand on offensive tackle. You still got Derek Brown out there. I mean, here we are. We're at 7 right now. And yeah. So, I mean, the board for me right now, I know it's early yet, is moving very well for the Eagles.
I think they stay where they're at. I think you're right. We're talking about 14 picks away. You got, a couple stud defensive tackles in Kinlaw Brown. You got 3 more offensive tackles, Becton, the kid from Iowa, kid from Alabama. You got a lot of weapons up above and then 2 wide receivers that you can still have to think about. I think the Eagles can sit right where they're at and just wait.
to me, Alan Coffey, the answer to that question is pick 15. It's going to be interesting to see if the Broncos at 15, where you stand after that pick, because that's a potential receiver position for Denver. After 15, you have Atlanta at 16. In my opinion, not a receiver, looking receiver. Dallas not looking receiver. Raiders already taking one up at 12. So I think at that point, after pick 15 to the Broncos, you'll know a little more where you stand.
Commissioner Roger Goodell. Let's go, guys. Come on, Panther fans. With the 7th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, Carolina Panthers select Derek Brown, defensive tackle, Auburn.
There it is. It was either him or Simmons.
Well, there you see Derek Brown. His teammates call him Baby Barack. One of his teammates, Marlon Davidson, referred to him as Channel 5 reporting live because he knew something about everything. He is exactly who you want your player to be on and off the field.
All right, now you may have to start wheeling and dealing, because you know what, Arizona may go CD Lamb just because of that's their quarterback, their teammates. Oh man, this is interesting. Happy for Derek Brown though. It's a hell of a pick there for Matt Rule, a local guy that's played in. He'll be with us here in Atlantic City at Jaws' golf tournament. So you guys let me know. We'll get you some media access. We're still planning on having that at the end of June, if everything clears up.
I'll tell you what, I've been to that golf tournament down Atlantic City Country Club a few times. And I'll tell you what a tournament, what a great job Jaws does. That's a really fun day out there.
Yeah, we'll be at Blue Heron Pines.
Is that where it is this year?
This year, yep. The last few years, it's been a Blue Heron Pine, one of Jaws' 7 courses under the Jaws Golf family. But Matt Rule will be there. We got Harold Carmichael, Hall of Famer. Doug Peterson will be there as well. We got a good group of celebs. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's a fun day. Like I said, it was a few years back, and it was at AC Country Club then. But what a good tournament! What a good fun day that is. In regards to the Cardinals. I think they go offensive tackle here to protect Kyler Murray.
Well, you know what? Their biggest need is offensive guard, according to what I've been reading.
Okay.
But I'm not going to disagree with you. If they go offensive tackle, maybe it's one of those offensive tackles got some flexibility going inside or outside, or whoever they've got on that roster. So I'm not disagreeing with you, Stevie, at all. The other big priority is defensive end, but Espinosa is the second guy off the board. I think I said his name right.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I don't know if they get him now. It's too early for him.
Yeah, I was going to say it's early for him. I have this as Wills from Alabama.
Yeah, picks already. I think the picks are already in the Cardinals.
Wow.
What I hear, it's coming up. I got a little bit premature on that, so Doug Stashik will be all over me. We got a slight delay. Yep, pick is in. That was pretty quick, guys, right?
Yeah. Well, yep.
Which tells me they're probably going to
you need that guy inside to push the pocket. They drafted Brian Burns from Florida State, who's going to turn the corner. Derek Brown is a perfect fit of a guy that can control the middle of the field, push the pocket, and he plays sideline to sideline.
Gentlemen, I'll be back. One second.
Like him, Lewis.
Yeah, look, and he is a high-effort player for such a big man. Okay, and Javon Kimball are both in that mold. Look, when you think about the Carolina Panthers, the fact that they lost Gerald McCoy, no Vernon Butler, they need some beef in the interior. And look, there's an argument maybe for inside players over outside players when you're talking about pass rushers, since they have the shortest distance to go to the quarterback, and quarterbacks hate pressure in their face. There's no question that they need edge rush to go with Brian Burns as well, but there's no one worth drafting this high that can truly be a 4-3, put your hand on the ground, rush the passer. So, look, Derek Brown's one of the most powerful, explosive players in this draft. Matt Rule said he likes positionless players. You'll see Derek Brown all up and down the line of scrimmage. And I'll tell you this, the NFC South better get ready, because big number 5 from Auburn, he's the real deal.
He certainly is. By the way, defensive coordinator at Auburn, Kevin Steele, said of Derek Brown, I was at Tennessee when Reggie White was there and at Alabama when Marcel Darius was there. That's the kind of player he is. Meanwhile, the pick is in for the Arizona Cardinals. Let's check it out.
All right, let's go. With the 8th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Isaiah Simmons.
Wow. Good news for the
It is
Eagles.
hard to fault anybody picking Isaiah Simmons. If you just listen to Dabo Swinney, his college head coach.
It is good. You said good move for the Eagles?
Good news for the Eagles, yes.
It is. Yes.
That's a team that could have taken a wide receiver. Obviously, a lot of mock drafts had a receiver there. So when you're looking 12 more picks between one more D tackle. You got 3 wide receivers that at the top of the draft between Ruggs, CD Lamb, and Jerry Jeudy. It's really getting interesting now.
Does Jacksonville take a wide receiver here? Is this Jeudy or CD Lamb?
Personally, I'm off the board. I'm thinking maybe you go quarterback. Do you really trust Gardner Minshew? You know, you Nick on. I don't know. I really don't know if you trust Gardner.
So
But
who's left? Jordan Love?
9 is a high price to pay for a quarterback is the only issue now. Maybe they go Kinlaw, defensive tackle. I mean, I would hope for the Eagles' sake they don't go wide receiver, but this is going to be an interesting pick here.
How about it?
Shout out to my buddy John Roach. He was the founding editor at ESPN, the magazine, and he was a college football editor as well. He was in NOLA for 5 years, recently covering LSU.
Oh, nice.
Well done.
Yeah, he's a well-rounded individual. One of my best buddies from college, a couple years younger than me. Good group of guys. My senior year, the sophomores were a group I gravitated to. A lot of fun with those guys. I was hoping maybe Paul Clauder or a bunch of other guys were going to jump on, John Ward, to kind of do our show. But great guys.
That's cool.
Yep.
There's some great film on Simmons here. You're watching these highlights.
Oh yeah, I'm watching. The beast.
So
what they got?
How about this name?
They got a B plus.
So how about this?
How do you get a B plus? Wait, how do you get a B plus through CBS on that pick?
When you took a guy at 8 that should have been at 4.
Well, because I think it's because it's based on need. Need.
No, it wasn't a need.
Yeah.
So how about this name coming up here for the Jags? I know you guys already mentioned a couple names. Starting with Jalen Ramsey, the Jags in the last year and a half have lost all 3 of their cornerbacks. Is this C.J. Henderson?
Ooh.
Ramsey was the beginning of the 3 quarterbacks that were lost in Jacksonville. Maybe you got to replace one of the 3, don't you?
Well, Henderson's the best on the board, right? At corner?
I would think, yeah.
Yeah,
from Florida.
You got to take him. Bobby Fischer agrees. And Bobby does a lot of homework, by the way. He's my consigliere.
Bobby's my man.
But he's not a wartime consigliere.
He's not a wartime consigliere, though.
Coffee, you like C.J. Henderson here or no?
C.J. Henderson's the next best on the board, definitely. What'd you say?
I like him here, but I don't like him. I'm glad he's done playing in Florida because I'm not anybody that went to Florida, Boise State, or Washington State. I do not like. I would never cheer for any of those guys. If those teams ever play each other, I hope it's a tie or it's a rain delay. But he's a hell of a player at the quarterback position. Florida is they're on the list for DBU. I don't think they're as high as LSU, Ohio State, or even Virginia Tech or Texas, but they put out some high quality corners in the past few years.
Yeah, well, the Jags are definitely depleted there,
right, guys? I'm sorry, Stevie. I apologize.
No, I'm kind of repeating myself. They're definitely depleted there at the cornerback position, and it's a spot where they were really good and they're used to being good at the cornerback spot. And I just think they fill one of those 3 here with C.J. Henderson.
Yep, I agree with that. I think it's a perfect spot for him too.
Pick of need, pick of fit.
Yeah. And I think.
And they lost a lot of that pass rush. Even when we talk about as good as Ramsey was and Bouye, they had Saxonville was what they were called. They had a lot of pass rush. Fowler, Calais Campbell, Malik Jackson, a lot of guys up front that can get after the quarterback that made the job easier for those corners on the back end when they made that run to the AFC Championship game. They may go, up front pass rusher, guy like Kinlaw is still there. Maybe even some of these edge rushers come off the board, but they got a lot of needs and holes to fill to try to recreate that magic they've had in the past few years.
Does it make sense now at Kinlaw instead of Henderson? Even though they've taken a beat in the secondary, I think Henderson makes sense, even though Kinlaw's a stud.
I think, Henderson fits. I think Kinlaw is worthy of the pick, so to speak. Kinlaw,
good way to put it.
For your fans' sake, Kinlaw is a guy that's rated higher. You take him, and everybody will be calm about it. Henderson, you'd be waiting to see. He better show up like that guy. I don't think there's less doubt about Kinlaw being a day one starter and a player in this league.
Well, then if I'm the GM, I'm picking Kinlaw then.
I'm picking Kinlaw. Take the safer bet.
Cornerback being
So the Jags have a second pick a little later here in this first round. Is it? I mean, I don't think it's all. I don't think it's possible. It's possible they trade out of here.
I wouldn't trade out of here. if I'm the Jags, I'm not trading out. By the way, Mag Mears, I am the. He always wants me to do all the physical work. Did you see this post here? I want Al to do the combine. This guy's a piece of work. I love you, Mag. But no, I don't know. I mean, why would the Jags have a lot of needs? You know, to Coffey's point, secondary, interior defensive line. Even I mean, I know they have wide receivers, but I think they still need a wide receiver too. So, you know, don't be surprised this is a wide receiver, guys. This could be your first. This could be Jerry Jeudy. So, I wouldn't trade out. Would not trade out if I'm them. And the pick is. It looks like the pick is in. So curious to see what. So the pick is in. That didn't take very long.
Cleveland go offensive line. Jets is where your first wide receiver comes off.
So via my son's telephone, he's saying that at a night where there could have been a lot of trades being made and action occurring, not a single trade has been made. But Adam Scheffler is reporting that San Francisco may change that at pick 13.
Link to donate now. Visit NFL.com, shop.com tonight for official 2020 draft gear, caps, jerseys, and more, all ship free. Also, the NFL is currently providing free complimentary access to NFL Game Pass. Sign up now when you can watch full game broadcasts from previous seasons, Super Bowl classics, old episodes, and a show like A Football Life and Hard Knocks and the All 22 Coaches film. Go to NFL.com/Game Pass for more information as we are moving at warp speed through the first round of this draft. And this is, we thought, something that might happen because of the virtual reality. And we are already in with the Jacksonville Jaguars pick at number 9. Let's go to the commissioner.
Keep it up. With the 9th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, Jacksonville Jaguars select C.J. Henderson, defensive back, Florida.
Good call. Yep. Good call, sir.
Well, there you see C.J. Henderson getting the phone call and realizing he is not going to go far away from where he played his college ball at the University of Florida. His hometown's in Miami. He played running back in high school. In fact, his high school coach said, I could have put him at guard, and he would have been just fine. He received scholarship offers from a bunch of places, and last year was first-team All-SEC. Mel, tell us a little bit about C.J. Henderson, who really...
So the Cardinals got a B- on CBS Sportsline for Isaiah Simmons.
How?
How does a guy of that talent get a B-? Are you kidding me?
I honestly think
depends who's grading.
It's the need. I think they.
I know. I agree, Coffee. I agree.
It's got to be. I think it's good because they need an offensive lineman or a receiver, and they didn't go there. They went to a guy where you really don't even know what he plays. You got to kind of find a place for him. And looking at what Arizona did a few years ago when they had Dayon Buchanan, who was a former safety, they ran a lot of dime coverage. And they played Dayon in the box as a linebacker hybrid type, and he was really successful. You know, when they had Patrick Peterson in his heyday, he still had Calais Campbell. They had a pretty good defense for a couple seasons there. He's a guy that you could plug in and run a lot of those deceptive blitz schemes in Arizona.
So, John,
this is crazy. Cleveland's pick's already in.
I know. Isn't that insane? That's got to be an offensive tackle, though, right?
I think it's Wills. If it's me, it's Jendrick Wills.
I agree. 100%.
It's funny. This is where these guys even run the broadcast. They're trying to buy time because they're like trying to still do the real C.J. Henderson.
Yeah.
Pick is in that quick. Wow. It's insane.
Well, you know, the before they went to commercial, the Jags pick was in. I think, you know, the real time doesn't stop for the teams. So once the pick is in, the Jets are on the clock right now. So their clock is already running, even though we don't know who it is. So it'll start to speed up as we get later into this draft. Everybody's not taking all day to make their selection.
Guys, nobody has picked a wide receiver yet.
Yeah, it's boding well that way.
Woo-wee.
No wide receiver.
I mean, this is crazy.
Let me tell you something. CD drops down. Well, you got the Jets coming up. I think the Jets take you.
I'm so excited to help introduce the first-round draft pick for my hometown Cleveland Browns. The wait is final. Thank you to the NFL for your support of St. Jude. While my journey with cancer has been hard, I cannot say enough about St. Jude. The doctors and staff are amazing, and they have taken such good care of me. And now back to you for the Browns pick. Go Browns!
Oh, man. Breaking my heart.
Thank you, Fletcher. We are so happy to see that you're home and doing well. We're very proud to support you and St. Jude in the fight to end childhood cancer. And we're all in your corner, Fletcher. Go get them. So I have the Browns pick with the 10th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. Cleveland Browns select Jedrick Wills, tackle, Alabama.
Makes sense.
Perfect.
Yep.
Well, not surprised that they go offensive line. Jedrick Wills is off the board. Tua Tagovailoa called him the out.
Yeah, it makes sense for the Browns.
Yeah, I had him. That's where I had Andrew Thomas. Obviously, with Andrew Thomas moving up, Jedrick Wills made sense there.
Yep.
They struggled with a pass rush. And a lot of people wanted to blame everything on Baker Mayfield last year with some good reason. I don't think he lived up to his billing. However, a lot of it was pass rush and rushing him and being hit. This certainly will help that.
So, gents, the Jets are on the clock. Their biggest need is wide receiver. So, is that going to happen, or is there going to be a trade here? What do you guys think?
How could it not be? I mean, how could it not be wide receiver at this point?
Right.
I mean, for real. I mean,
Well, they lose.
Well, they lost Robbie Anderson.
That's what I was going to say. They lose Robbie Anderson. However, I got news for you. It's hard to say what's a priority with the Jets. A, because they're the Jets, and B, because there's just a lot of positions in need, unfortunately, for them right now at this point.
Well, Stevie, that team's not that bad. That team's not that badly built. It's the coach that's there who I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Adam Gase is gone though, right? Oh no, wait, he's not gone.
He's not gone.
I don't think he's gone. I don't disagree with that.
I definitely think it's wide receiver.
Could this be where the Eagles move up?
No, I think you let Judy go because I think this is where Judy goes. I don't think it's going to be CeeDee Lamb. I think it's Judy.
Okay. I'll tell you what, man.
Class. He's an exceptional route runner, one of the best to come out in quite some time. So definitely think this is Jerry Judy here.
Yeah, I'm still going to go with Lamb. If it's wide receiver, my opinion is that Lamb's the best of the bunch.
I agree. 1A and 1B. 1A and 1B.
But the Jets love that guy that does the vertical thing, right? So want to get up the field. So I mean, is it Lamb or is it Ruggs?
Well, that would be Ruggs. Based on
Ruggs.
That would make a lot of people happy if they took Ruggs now.
Oh, I would love it. I'm all about it.
It's scary. After John Ross a few years ago, even though he ran a 4.2, he hasn't really panned out in Cincinnati. These speed guys, these sub 4.3 guys, have not made a Pro Bowl in a while.
Yeah.
You got to kind of think you want to get the all-around complete wide receiver. And if they go Ruggs, you'll hear Howie Roseman quickly.
Yeah, and you kind of sit there and I think about who else is coming up behind it. There's a couple guys with now multiple picks. Like the Raiders have 2 picks. You got to think they're only going to end up taking 1 wide receiver. They're not going to take 2. So is that the place where the Eagles jump up and get it? I mean, maybe Miami they're licking their chops now that they realize that, hey, they got Tua. So now do they try to make some sort of move and maybe even climb up a little bit and then go and grab a receiver to go with them?
And they certainly have the tools to do it, Miami. We've talked about that already tonight a couple times. And again, the reports are right now that San Francisco's talking about possibly moving out of the 13 slot. Didn't say to who, but Adam Scheffler's reporting that they could be the first move of the night.
So, Al, I don't know if you're keeping score, but John Roach he's saying, all right, guys, bragging rights time. Who has the most picks right so far?
Well, we didn't really track it. I mean, but I'll defer to my guys here. You know what? I like to defer to a guy, an expert like Coffee Jones, even Josh Friedman. And Stevie's been pretty darn strong, too, himself, man. He's been making a lot of good calls. So
Yeah,
I'll take the caboose end, baby.
I had the first three right, and then I had the quarterbacks flip-flop, so I got them wrong in regards to what numbers they were going at and spots they were going at. I had the two offensive tackles mixed up also. I had Wirfs first before Andrew Thomas, and then Andrew Thomas just, moved up, obviously, to 4 or wherever the Giants were. So,
well, why don't you say hi to your mom, Steve?
I got it. What's up, Mom? Appreciate you checking in.
Hey, guys, Derek Barnett, the 21st pick to move into the Jets spot to get CeeDee Lamb right now. What do you think about that right now? Does it work?
That works for me, if that's it.
Yeah, I don't. Do they really want Derek? Do they have a need for Derek Barnett? I mean, the one piece of the Jets defense.
They have a needed edge rusher. Yes, they do. It's their second-highest need.
I kind of like the Jets defense. I mean, I know that they don't do great from a secondary standpoint, but those guys up front and those linebackers, they're the real deal, man. And the problem is they didn't have an offense. Yeah, but they didn't have an offense that could stay on the fild. So that's why these guys would get worn out.
The games that the Jets were in.
You can get Jalen Reagor. I mean, maybe the Eagles really want. They had a lot of talk. I mean, there's been a lot of names thrown around with the Philadelphia Eagles and wide receiver, but a lot of heat around CeeDee Lamb.
Going this long,
I'd up the ante on that trade offer and make it Brandon Graham and 21. Because Derek Barnett is still on a rookie deal.
Yes, the money. All the money.
Brandon Graham is looking to get a little bit of a payday. He's getting up there in years. He's still productive, still a great pass rusher. I think if you can sell it to 21 and Brandon Graham, I think you'd have a heck of a deal, a better deal for the Eagles at least.
And Brandon Graham signed, so the Jets wouldn't have to worry about signing.
Wow. The pick is finally in. The Jets took almost the whole clock.
It's down to I see a minute 13 on my watch. I'm a little behind, but
that's all right. It just came in.
The pandemic, every dollar counts. Visit NFL.com/relief to donate now. We continue to work our way through the first round. We take a look at Mel. It's available, brought to you by Lowe's, Mel.
See, Jerry Jeudy, no receiver has come off the board yet. There's Javon Kinlaw, great, similar to Derek Brown, but not like Brown because of lack of consistency. Xavier McKinney, all he is a heck of a safety. Michael, the playmaker, the wide receivers are still there. Who do you like, and who do you see maybe taking one of those wide outs first?
I'm glad we're getting to the best part of this draft, and I talked about it earlier. It's the diversity we have in these wide receivers, and I love Jerry Jeudy. He's such a great guy inside. He plays in that slot. I love how he, what I call, gives you that stinking leg and takes it right back when he's running with the football. But CeeDee Lamb, he does everything. People liken him to a Dez Bryant, a guy that can go up and get the ball, but he also can run the whole route tree. Or do you just want pure speed? And that's Ruggs the third. This guy can run with anybody and everybody, kind of give you a Tyreek Hill kind of player.
All right, listen, we appreciate that. It's somewhat surprising, by the way, guys. We haven't had a trade yet. The last time we didn't have a trade in the top 10 picks, as we look at Henry Ruggs, I'll wait to hear his name called. Last time we haven't had a trade this late in the first round was 2015, the first.
I think it makes sense, John. That trade makes sense. Although I wouldn't want to see. Derek Barnett makes sense because of the rookie deal, though. I actually think that makes sense. Let's see.
The Jets. Come on.
With the 11th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Mekhi Becton, tackle.
Wow.
So the run on receivers is going to have to wait, but Mekhi Becton, ladies and gentlemen, human beings that large should not run as fast as Mekhi Becton did. At the combine, 364 pounds, ran the 40 in 5.1. According to ESPN stats and information, that's the heaviest player ever to run a sub-5 40.
Wirfs is still there, and Miami Dolphins need a tackle. They're not going to sit there and wait. They've got to be making a move somewhere along here. But obviously, I think the Raiders want to make their pick because they have a couple of needs.
Don't worry
But
about John
somewhere in
Gruden.
there, they could be trading with San Fran.
John Gruden's going to want his wide receiver right here. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, and this is a
Wow.
This is a definite Jerry Jeudy fit for him. Anybody else?
I agree. I think they go Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
Wide receiver. There's still some guys on the board. Don't leave Ruggs out of there because obviously, the speed.
That's a Raider deal.
That's a Raider thing. That's always. I'm still mad about the Crabtree and Hayward Bay situation a couple years ago, my Raiders, but that's all right. I don't think they can go wrong with any of the 3 wide receivers at the top right now.
Eric Allen says Judy's falling with that leg issue. Is exactly what I talked about earlier.
I can't believe Michael Irvin said he was driving the stanky leg. I couldn't believe he said that. I mean, you're seeing it all.
Nothing out of Michael Irvin surprises me anymore, though.
My
Guys, I'll be right back.
Man, you look at this. I mean, this is one just large human, dude. 364 pounds from a lineman standpoint, moving into that. Oh my word! That's just hard. That's just hard to fathom.
Yeah, that's like a train.
Yeah,
it's a big man running a 5-second 40.
I don't know, but I think his dad's pretty big man himself. If that's who that is, his father there, and he makes his father look small.
Yeah,
That's
he's
crazy.
probably 6'3", 400, and he makes him look small, right?
Yeah, Joe Douglas. Yeah, he's one happy dude. I can tell you that right now. You think Joe Douglas painted his office for this draft?
Yeah, probably.
I think he did.
Probably.
All right, so look at Becton pushing that car with the brakes on, nonetheless. So the Raiders, right? So Coffee, I know you and I had said the same thing. I mean, don't forget about Ruggs. And this right here in this spot, forget about it because just I don't know, every Raider loves speed. I don't care what decade it is. I don't care what year it is.
And see, this is another thing. When you talk about these coaches, you got to bring in the ego factor. And if you think about it, some stuff you can coach and you can script up. And if you think you're John Gruden, you're an offensive guru, and you can kind of put anybody into your system, think about a guy that's a 4-2, what that does to the defense. Your corners can't play press. If they do press, somebody's got to have help over the top. That's one guy taking 2 defenders wherever he goes. It's kind of, the Deshaun Jackson, Tyreek Hill effect. That helps. Now you're playing 9-on-9 with the rest of the guys. Now you got some matchups you can exploit. So I wouldn't count out Ruggs here.
Yeah, if I had to put a couple shekels on it, I think that's where they leave. Coffee, John Roach is asking, did you ever line up against someone and think, man, that dude is massive? It's going to be a long day?
Man, look, I've played against some tough guys. Originally, I was a defensive lineman. That's what made me go to Idaho. Played against some guys that came out. Washington State had a guard that wasn't that big. He was ended up being a late first-round pick, and I had some good work against those guys as defensive linemen, but nobody that big. But on the other side of the ball, I've played against some big guys that could come after you. I remember what's his name? Tank Williams, I believe. I think
Tank Williams, yeah.
He was short, but he was so strong. He wasn't as big as some of these guys I've seen. Darrell Campbell, who was the guy that played at Notre Dame, played in the Arena Football League. He's one of the best producers at NFL Films now. He actually played for the Soul later on. I played against DC, then started working with him with Jaws and the Magic Show. DC with the Notre Dame, he's the biggest computer geek you could find.
Raiders picks in.
6'6", he's 315. I mean, he's just, when he puts his hands on you, you feel it, and it hurts.
All right, let's see what we got.
Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs. It froze, but Henry Ruggs.
Yep.
Wow.
All right, I don't know what's going on here.
Dale's still reading the card. He can't read. Wow.
My stream is working. Here it is. Let me see. Come on. With the 12th pick, 2020 NFL draft.
Now. Coffee, did
Yep.
you hear me?
Yeah. That's
I'm
good.
glad.
That's big news.
That's big news for the Eagles, man. I think we're going to end up with Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb, guys. I definitely think this is going to happen.
Be interesting to see if the Niners keep
So
this.
we got, what do we got? San Fran on the clock now? San Fran, guys? Yeah, wide receivers.
Wide receiver goes
top priority. So you still got 3 wide receivers, but it still plays out. This is wow.
Bad timing. I can't believe the screen froze like that.
I would say it could be cornerback here. If there was a spot that they needed a little bit of help, although their defense was definitely stout and good, it would be at the cornerback spot. However, they do have a second pick at the end of this first round, and they're going to be able to get a good cornerback there. So I agree with this being wide receiver.
Yeah, San Francisco got there. I mean, they want to put some weapons together. When a lot of people talk about that fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, being up by 10, being able to make some plays when they needed to. The one big miss throw that everybody gets on Jimmy Garoppolo about to Emmanuel Sanders. Those type of weapons that they want to build around that offensive backfield, that running game, that stretch zone scheme, all-world tight end like George Kittle, Deebo Samuel's a young up-and-coming receiver. I could definitely see them going with the receiver here, or maybe fielding a phone call because I know the phone's ringing right now to John Lynch.
Yeah, so look at Judy, right? So Eric Allen talked about that leg injury. So is that what's making Judy kind of fall down the board? So,
No.
I mean, if you get him at 21, you got to take him.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, you got to take him. Got to take him. It makes absolute sense. I'm not worried about Judy's name.
So,
and keep in mind, they did mention the injury with the leg or knee with Judy. However, his agent, as he should, and maybe it's just strictly agent purposes, shut it completely right down. Coffee, you would know more about the callback system in regards to being called back for an injury update at a combine. Give us a little bit of insight on that and the agent strictly said he was not even called back, so there was no injury.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of teams get the option. Every medical staff gets to look at you during the combine and go through your medical history. It's funny. I got a little bit of an insight on both sides of it. Lee Steinberg is Jerry Judy's agent. Who's also partners with some friends of ours. I've been to Lee Steinberg's Super Bowl party the last couple of years. Him and Cosmo Di Nicola, who's a co-owner of the Philadelphia Soul, good friends of Jaws, good friends of mine, my former owner. So we got some insight, a lot of those guys, and they spoke highly of Judy. He was one of their first commits for this season's draft class, along with Tua. So, Lee Steinberg's got Tua and Jerry Judy, who have 2 first-round picks going this draft. But, again, with the medical situation, there's literally nobody outside of the U.S. government in this country that's more tested and put through the ringer than these NFL draft athletes. When you talk about 32 different franchises individually having their medical staff look through every injury that you've ever had. If you sat out of practice for 2 days because of an ankle injury, they're going to talk about that.
Really?
Right.
Surgeries and games missed. They could do their homework seriously because they're investing a lot in you.
It's amazing how forensic it is.
By the way, are you guys watching this celebration?
What's up with the robe?
He's wearing a robe.
The champ? Is that like the champ?
Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, but I think that was like, I don't know. I was kind of half watching. It was like a testament to being like a heavyweight champion.
Because he's the first receiver taken. He's number 1 on the receiver board.
Oh, he's gonna have a hard time.
He had a bet probably with his teammate Jerry Judy, and Alabama could have had 4 guys go in the first round. I mean, they were so deep. They'll have 2 guys probably again next year when you look at the guys that they left, and Waddle and Smith. But
did they take Tristan Woodson?
Oh, we lost
the draft class. I know Michael Irvin's going to be raving about him right now.
All right, let's see what we got here.
So how about Trevon Diggs here, guys?
Well, Adam Schefter might be talking about some kind of trade. It's usually the only time they put him on, so stand by.
At number 4, we thought there would be other teams that would move. No one did in the top 10 picks for the first time since 2015. We're now at a pick right now where the 49ers are going to trade They're going to trade with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady's Bucks are moving up one slot.
Offensive tackle.
I'm up in this draft. There's one tackle on the board. Get Tom Brady more protection. That would be a logical pick for Tampa Bay to make with Tampa Bay coming up to get that pick. And that's the trade. Tampa to 13.
All right, Adam, thanks. Guys, let's talk about this here for a second because obviously Tampa Bay has plenty of weapons. They just signed Rob Gronkowski. He's going to be there ready to roll. It is protection, right? They gave up 47 sacks last year. I get it. Some of those were because Jameson hung on to the ball too long. But we've already seen a couple of tackles go off the board. It's understandable why they might get a little nervous thinking their guy might not be there.
Why are they moving up one spot? They got to be in love with somebody.
Yeah, look, there's no question about it. They have to make sure that, particularly at right tackle, that they take care of that position for Tom Brady. Look, everything else is set for them on offense, except for maybe they could use another running back as well. But they have the perimeter weapons. They have the guys who can attack the middle of the field. They're pretty set at guard and center. They just need to take care of that right tackle position, and you would assume that they're going to try and solidify it here.
This is
so who's the best one left, Mel? We've seen Becton go off the board. We've seen Wills go off the board. Somewhat surprisingly,
Tristan Wirfs.
That's it. That's it.
If it's not Tristan Wirfs, guys, there's been talk around the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and listen to me, hear me out here. Justin Jefferson. Heard it today.
Justin Jefferson that high? I think it's got to be
a slot receiver for Brady. Absolutely.
Coffee, didn't you say that?
I'm not pulling this out of the sky.
Last week?
I could see that, but at this point, why move up a spot to get him? That's I'm really interested.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they were afraid somebody else was going to jump up. I don't know.
The Niners? They think the Niners take Jefferson? Would it taken Jefferson here? I don't think so. They got to know.
But see, that's another thing. It's not necessary. I used to think the same way. It's not necessarily about the Niners taking him. It's whoever's calling the Niners to take him.
Yeah, that's true.
So now it's like if somebody else is calling him to get that guy, you might want to move up and get him now and be sure.
Why do you move up one spot? That makes no sense.
Just from the San Francisco side of things here, don't be surprised if they possibly trade out again a second time.
Oh, yeah. Load up. Why not?
Yeah, I'm trying to see online.
Did they report what they got back in the deal?
So it says San Francisco is going to get the 14th pick and the 117th pick. And it's so that's the fourth round. Just to move down a spot.
The 14th pick and the 117th pick.
Wow.
It's not bad to move down a spot. You probably still get your guy for San Francisco.
Yeah. So that's where they moved to, was 14?
Yep, they moved down one spot and picked up an extra.
It's insane.
Extra fourth.
I don't believe in hanging my hat on one guy though, just to move up one spot. But
you didn't give up a lot to do it, so I'm really not as
well. True.
And I think they got a seventh back, so they move up a spot. They got a seventh back and give up a fourth.
Okay. Oh, it's a fourth. Okay, fourth.
I think Denver at this point is probably going to take wide receiver.
The pick is in. All right, well, let's see what we got here, boys.
Lieutenant Colonel Colwell, and thank you to all of our service members for your courage and sacrifice on behalf of our country. The San Francisco 49ers have traded the 13th pick to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With the 13th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Tristan Wirfs, Iowa.
There it is. Made sense. You got to protect Tom.
Well, now we're seeing this run on offensive lineman and MGC Tristan Wirfs there getting the phone call right there and a little bit of thumbs up. Another freakish athlete. He's 6'3", 322 pounds, ran a 4.85 40. He was raised by his single mother, Sarah, and he was going to walk with her down the red carpet in Las Vegas. That didn't happen.
So he brought the red carpet to her.
That's
This
awesome.
was this afternoon. By the way, can we just take a moment to honor the mom's T-shirt that she's wearing?
Oh yeah, Mom. Look at that T-shirt. Hashtag LFG. I'm all about it.
I think they knew if that's this afternoon, they must have had some
Inside scoop. Wow.
Yeah, they had some insight with that, huh?
Yeah,
worse on the board.
Interviews
Worse
on
was
Zoom.
number 1 rated offensive tackle. I'm so surprised he's fourth off the board. Wait, 1, 2, 3, fifth off the board. Fifth offensive tackle off the board.
Oh, you need your big ones. That's for sure. Need the big boys up front.
And that's what I said. That's the biggest X factor. Teams are going to start jumping up to take offensive linemen, and before you know it, receiver may be sitting there.
Yep, you got Ezra Cleveland still sitting there. Someone needs an offensive tackle. There's a guy right there.
Kid down in Houston.
Yep, Josh Jones. Yep, Josh Jones. Coffee.
Yes, sir.
Yep. We're at the 14th pick and only 1 wide receiver. But the next 2 picks could be wide receiver.
I would say 14th pick, and you got 2 receivers that you'd love. So right now, this guy jumped out of a swimming pool. Oh my God.
Yeah. Did you see that clip?
I'm just watching it now. I'm a little behind. Yeah, I'm drafting him too.
He's in 3 feet of water at 324 pounds. He jumps out of a swimming pool onto the edge of the pool.
That is incredibly.
That's pretty crazy.
Woo!
Al Fisher kind of hops.
Oh, stop yourself.
Yeah, that's what John Roach was just saying. He said that's an impossibly strong man, dude. That's crazy.
That's insane.
Oh, dump him. I like it. Sit down. Okay.
Look at him getting out there. Good God.
Yeah, that dude.
Yeah, he's a
bona fide beast.
Yeah, different kind of player.
You take him over Andre Dilliard right now?
You think?
Ooh.
Yes. Wait. Coming out of the draft, yes. From what I see, because of what he does offensively in this run style, pro style offense at Iowa, for what Dillard did at the Washington State level, you were projecting what Dillard was going to be able to do based upon his combine. And he's a great athlete. He's a great kid. Obviously, he's had 2 great guys to learn behind over this last year. So right now, Dillard, I think he's ready to step in and be that guy. But coming out, looking at the tape on Wirfs, I mean, he's
The text messages are like blowing up. Wondering, I just can't get over how fast this thing is going.
Oh, me too. Yeah, really fast. This is moving right along.
I'm not going to give any free advertisements to K Jewelers. They haven't done that for us. Hold on.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Wait, doesn't our wait a minute? Don't we know somebody that works at K Jewelers? Graphic person? Uh-oh. I don't hear Doug.
Yeah, we lost
Doug.
Doug.
Yeah, we lost Doug. Doug didn't.
Oh, you know why? Because I had a issue. I got 1 camera, 1 microphone between the 2 of us. So I have to keep that picture up.
You got 2 turntables and a microphone?
Yeah, I got something like that.
You got 2 turntables and a microphone.
Just spit out my drink that Al Fisher hops. That's right.
Yeah, you got a new fan there at John Roach, Doug Stasic. I don't like you picking up fans because you're a clown, but that's besides the point.
That's all right. What are you going to do? So 14. So, guys, like Eagles, are they itching? Are they going to make a move? You got
do it. CeeDee Lamb. I would
Broncos, Falcons. Well, we know Dallas isn't going to trade with us.
Well, the good thing is you're getting closer to your pick, so you don't have to give up as much to move up to get your guys. Not like you're jumping up in the top 10. We're talking jump to 15, 6 spots. The team that you're trading with could probably still get the guy that they want. So now we're talking adding in maybe a third, maybe another corner. You talk about, you don't even have to give up a guy like Barnett. You can give up maybe another piece or a third or a fourth and move up those spots. So it's reachable.
Well, we're at that point where we answered the question. I believe it was John Roach's question earlier, where at what pick do you feel as though you're safe, where you're kind of secure you can get one? I said it was pick 15 because Atlanta, Dallas, Miami, I'm not sure they're going to pick receivers, especially since –
But Denver is.
I mean, the Raiders already picked one. So, I mean, I guess you could see Denver possibly picking a receiver, yes.
But see, where I think is I'm looking at who's ahead of us, and I think you got to jump over Miami and you got to jump over Dallas. I think Dallas is going to be the team that if there's someone's going to take a big-time receiver off the board to go along with Coop, and then you got Zeke back there, obviously now Dak going on a franchise tag, I think that's where – I don't want to say they could take it to us, but I think that if I'm them, that's where I would rip our hearts out and say, well, we're going to take Mr. Lamb and grill you guys.
Back to Dallas Goedert?
Exactly. Good
Hey, guys,
call.
why not trade with the 49ers right here and maybe trade next year's second and this year's third? I know it's giving a little bit much up to move to that spot to get CeeDee Lamb.
Well, that's why I said a minute ago I wouldn't be surprised if San Francisco traded out a second time.
Yeah, no,
I mean that's along the lines that's exactly along the lines I was thinking of.
So saying the pick is in, boys. Emmanuel Sanders, he's moved on to New Orleans, and there was Oklahoma wide receiver CeeDee Lamb.
They're showing CeeDee Lamb
Him to be the best wide receiver in this draft class, but Henry Ruggs was the first to go, and now we're looking at Jerry Jeudy. Our own Todd McShay says Jerry Jeudy is the best route runner at a wide receiver he's seen in all of his years.
She hand him a phone.
So could San Francisco be looking here to wide receiver? What they lost in Emmanuel Sanders? Let's go to Michael Urban here. Michael, what do you think? If it's one of these two, what do you like better?
Trey, this is what I love, Trey. I talked about the diversity of wide receivers, and you talk about Jerry Jeudy. Remember, Jerry Jeudy does most of his work from the slot. He's about 60% in the slot, scores 7 touchdowns out of his 10 in that slot. It's all about what San Francisco needs right here in this spot, Trey.
All right, we'll see what happens there. And again, you take a look at Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. They're clearly enjoying this virtual draft, I think, more than most people are. But again, San Francisco plays in the toughest division, arguably, in the NFL right now, the NFC West. As we said, they lost Emmanuel Sanders. There are some concerns about offensive line as well. But the pick is in. Let us see what San Francisco did. They moved one slot back so Tampa could move up. Where is San Francisco going? With the 14th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle, South Carolina.
That's good for the Eagles.
Well, perhaps another surprise, but Javon Kinlaw is one hell of a football player. His story is also amazing. But what you need to know about him is how he grew up. He split time between his mother and father in good.
This is Jerry Jeudy now. I'm sorry, not Jerry Jeudy. Yeah.
I love Kinlaw's story too.
Yeah, it might be Jerry Jeudy.
If that's the case, you make a move.
Yeah. Trade with the Falcons. 16. CeeDee Lamb coming to Philadelphia. Calling it right now, boys.
I'm hoping it's Jeudy because CeeDee Lamb is the receiver that I preferred out of all of them.
And that's supposedly what the Eagles were. Yeah, there's a lot of reports on how much you believe him, but I love me some CeeDee. And it's not going to cost a lot. You keep every pick that goes on this way, it costs a lot less.
So I got Brian DeWinnie in the house.
What's going on, Brian?
What's going on, B?
What's up, Brian? Thanks for joining us, man.
So curious to hear who Brian thinks the Eagles are going to jump on right here.
I think 16 is the pick where we trade up with Atlanta.
Brian's going to tell you his teammate, John Heck. Brian's going to give you John Heck here at receiver for the Berg.
There you go. This has been quite – I thought there was going to be a lot more trading. It's been quite an interesting, straightforward draft.
I think because the depth of the draft is so many different. There's so much talent. It's a deep draft class. This first round, you can't go wrong. So it's like, why reach for a guy that will still be there when you can get a guy just as good, a 1A, 1B. Look, if Judy's not there, then Lamb will be there. If Lamb's not there, Judy will be there.
Right.
You know, other than Tampa Bay wanting to get worse, which is probably the last of the elite offensive tackles that are worth a first-round pick right now in most people's minds. I think there's not much need to move.
But my question to you, though, Coffee, is do we make a move at 16 to get CeeDee Lamb?
Ooh. I think you have to, man. I'm telling you, the Cowboys they're gonna take him.
Giving up on Michael Gallup already?
I've never been.
We're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it to him again, like Dallas Goedert.
I don't know, man. I just think that this is the spot that if you're Dallas, you gotta add here. You gotta add to that weapon that you have, because do you have Dak the following year or do you not? I mean, you're putting him on a franchise tag deal. You're probably not going to do it twice. You just gave him Cooper. So you can't have, to your point earlier, Coffee, you can't have a receiving core that has a ton of money that's attached to it. So here you could come up for a couple of years and be able to manage that.
Yeah. But he's gonna cost you a little bit now. You just committed $100 million to your guy Amari Cooper, and right now, we look at the middle of the draft, we're talking probably about $20 million for the million of the first round with his opening contract. That's kind of expensive. I mean, it would have Dallas loaded offensively with the weapons that they have, but I think they got some other needs to fill. I mean, you got to look at safety. You lose a guy like Byron Jones or the secondary, you got a hole to fill there. Yeah. Your center, we talked about, some of our local guys. They did, lose an offensive lineman to retirement. I mean, Dallas got some other issues that they could fill and not just try to, compete with the Philadelphia Eagles. You got to build your roster as well. It's going to be interesting to see.
So DeWinnie's saying he's been a season ticket holder forever, but he stopped following the offseason since he was disappointed with Chip Kelly. But he says, love a dominant linebacker. So he's in the Josh Friedman house right there.
Yeah, well, that kind of plays into what Josh said earlier, what I said earlier in regards to if a receiver goes here to Denver and then Jacksonville, after taking C.J. Henderson earlier tonight, decides to go receiver just in front of the Eagles, then all four are gone. And that's the situation that presents itself in regards to possibly switching to the defensive side of the ball or trading back. And again, I had all four going. I think Al mentioned he may have had all four going as well prior to the Eagles. If that's the case, then you're looking at Kenneth Murray or Patrick Queen, those linebackers sitting there. And then that's the defensive side of the ball, linebacker that Brian DeWinnie may be just hinting to.
All right.
But as these picks keep going back, as these wide receivers keep dropping down the board, it just makes it.
Pick is in, Al. Stand by real quick.
Are you
with the 15th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver, Alabama.
All right.
Jerry.
Yep. Nice move by the Broncos. Very smart play there.
Jeudy and family waiting to hear the official news, but it is done. Jerry Jeudy is a Denver Bronco. And again, according to our Todd McShay, maybe one of the best route runners he's ever seen. By the way, real quickly, you see that straight A's his senior year of high school? He had already done. He was already going on to early admission at Alabama. He was at an all-star high school game, and he got his report card, and one of them was a B+. He said, no, that's wrong. I got the A. The teacher went back and recalculated. Turns out it indeed.
Genius.
Good pick. Denver's going to try to put some weapons together. They got a tough division to compete with.
Yep.
Chiefs. Obviously, the Raiders are going to have to figure out somebody that's going to have to cover Jerry Jeudy. But they got a talented wide receivers. It's crazy to see him slip to the middle of the first round. But there's no doubt about his talent. No doubt at all. I love CD Lamb personally, but you can't go wrong taking either one of those guys. I remember the A.J. Green, Julio Jones draft. You couldn't really go wrong with either one of those guys.
What about packaging this pick here, the third and the fourth pick, to move up to get CD Lamb?
You said this and 2/3?
Our third and our fourth.
I would say at this point, anything less than a second that you could add with 21, take it and go right now. If they're asking for a second next year or a second this year, or anything higher than that, next year's first, I think that may be a little too expensive. But right now, if you can get away with a third and a fourth with 21, I think that's a great move for the Eagles right now.
We're talking at number 16 now, right?
Yes, sir.
So you can get away, according to trade value chart, you can get away with trading, like I said, the third round pick at 103 and your fourth round pick at 127 to get that done, which I would do. For CD Lamb, I'd do it. Either that, or you give him a 2/3, right? This year's third, next year's third, or
you can go up
next year's
2/3.
second.
I mean, who knows what next year's draft class will bring as far as the prospects. Right. The depth of this class is amazing. I think about last year. Once you got past the second round, it's kind of teams are reaching, start picking up some small school guys that weren't necessarily heard of. You got to really do your homework. This class is so deep. You can reach your name in a hat. My daughter, she can come out and make your first 2 to 3 picks because there's a lot of talent out there.
Kofi, I just think this draft is actually falling perfectly for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it is.
I put it this way: Jefferson's going to be there at 21, so that's not a doubt, and that'll be a solid pick for the Eagles. I think he would work, and a lot of people will be happy about it. Now, can you do better than that? It's the only question. You kind of got a winning ticket right here the way the draft has fell. You can sit there at 21 and pick up a great wide receiver. Can you move up and do a little bit better? Is he that much better than? Is he an extra third or fourth round pick better than? Is Lamb that much better than Jefferson? That's up to Howie and Doug to decide. I personally think he's worth it and make the move.
All right, so I'm making you a deal. You're who are we talking to now? We're talking Atlanta, right?
Yep.
Oh, the pick is in. It can't be a trade. I was going to say I would trade our third and next year's second to get that deal done, but I'm not so worried about Atlanta drafting a wide receiver. And then who do you have after that? Dallas? No, Jack. Wait, who do we have after that?
You have Atlanta, Dallas, Miami.
Dallas is Dallas going to select CD Lamb? Oh my God, they're going to kick us right in the gut.
Oh man, it's Oklahoma.
God forbid.
That'd be tough.
Oh my God, that'll be our comeuppance for getting Dallas Goedert. Oh boy.
Yeah, that would be a mess. That would
Stevie,
not.
what do you think? I mean, Atlanta, so if I take a look at Atlanta's needs, I mean,
again, I worry about
their interior defensive line. So was it Gallimore as the kid?
So I worry about the Jags. I'm a little more about Miami at receiver than I am Dallas at receiver. I still think Dallas needs to find a replacement for Jones. And I think they like Gallup on the other side of Amari. So I like CD Lamb. At this point, I would do whatever I could do to get up and get CD Lamb. I thought coming into this, as I said a couple times already, CD Lamb was the best receiver in this draft, in my opinion. I would do whatever I could do at this point to go get him if it means coming up here.
I agree. I would agree. But it says the pick is. I thought I saw the pick is in, so that means that they've got. I don't think it's a trade, or they would have announced it.
I agree.
This is a bummer. I think I got Gallimore in this spot. Let's see. They got a
AJ Terrell. Somebody's speculating.
Cornerback.
Chase on. Trying to check through Twitter to see if Kuiper or Schefter has said anything.
So AJ Terrell's the cornerback from Clemson, correct?
Yep.
How about Ross Blacklock? They have interior defensive line needs. Too early for him?
I think it would be a reach. I mean, if they love him, I could see it happening. I've seen crazier things happen, but I think it would be a reach. I think he'd still be there.
Yeah, see, John Roach, I wanted to trade in this spot. John, you're absolutely right. This was a perfect spot. You're only moving up 5 picks. It's not going to cost you a lot of draft capital. I would have definitely made the move now. But obviously Atlanta may have been looking for more. They got their guy. Who knows? We'll see what it is.
Tell you what, I really want to thank John for keeping and staying with us all night tonight. I just saw a message from Frank Louisi as well. You know, he's been with us off and on all night as well. So we just want to thank them guys for hanging in with us.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
It's been a lot of fun, gentlemen. We still got a lot to go.
Yep, there's AJ Terrell.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. Now we got Dallas.
There we go.
Dallas could be looking at Delpit, guys. They need a safety.
Exactly. Safety. That was a corner that they could have thought about, but yeah, I think the safety's a good need for them.
But on Jerry Jones, he might want to stick it up the Eagles. You know what?
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Even if that was his only motive, that's his motive.
He's got the money to do it.
What's Bob Fisher have to say, Al? I heard him back there.
Yeah, Bob Fisher's like that voice in the side. He doesn't understand about TV and production. What the bleep? What? Wait, hey, hold on. Let me turn the camera. He wants it here. This is all his show now.
Cesar Ruiz, center to replace the center.
Yeah, to replace Frederick. I like it.
I'll tell you what, for a guy that Al's blowing out, he makes a little bit of sense to me.
I don't mind Bob taking some of the spotlight. It's just the way he takes it.
You're funny.
He can take it all. I'm coming off camera. It's his show. Keep the camera on that son of a gun. No, you got it. It's all you now.
So I still think, I mean, I know it. So Chris Milam, our buddy from Williamstown, horse racing guy, saying linebacker here from Oklahoma. That would be Kenneth Murray. That's who I had fallen to the Eagles, and the Eagles taking if the receivers were all off the board.
They've got their 2 linebackers for the future.
Yeah, and they're pretty good too, Van Der Esch.
They gave a big deal to one of them, so I don't think they have to go linebacker. I mean, anything could happen, but I think they should definitely go safety here. Maybe go with Fulton, maybe even the kid out of Alabama. Try to replace Byron Jones.
Yeah, again, and they got to replace him. So I agree, either cornerback or safety could be the priority here for the Cowboys. If not, should be the priority.
You notice how little the star is.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a very small team.
Hey,
Frank Louisi saying good time. And John Roach saying, you kidding me? You guys are great. So appreciate it again, guys. Awesome stuff. We're trying to keep things moving along, but hold on to your – oh, man, look at those 3 horses, the 3 amigos. That's just hard for me to even look at. It's really hard for me to even look at this point. Oh, Michael Irvin, he still thinks he can play. He's like, well, why don't they just pick me again? The girl on the couch next to Jones looks like she thinks she saw a camera. I don't want to be seen with them. It's awesome, John.
So, Doug, you saw our horse racing buddy Chris Milam, right?
Yes.
Checking in a little bit. He says when we go down to do the show for the Preakness down in Maryland, he says he wants Coffee to come with us so Coffee could get on the horse. He says, and ride one of his horses out to the track the day of the Preakness.
All right, we're all in, dude. We'll do the show from anywhere. He knows that. We'd love to be at the Preakness.
Right.
Kidding me? It'd be a good time.
So,
we're gonna work it out.
Guys, a real big before the next pick comes in. A real big point about this whole situation.
Like McCarthy.
The last few prognosticators have talked about Ruggs actually being the fourth best, and Justin Jefferson actually being the third best wide receiver.
Listen,
so,
I think Justin Jefferson's the best guy on the board.
You believe that?
I do.
No, you're saying he's not the best wide receiver out of the four, right? Is that what you're saying?
I do. I think he's played the most. I think he's played the most legit schedule.
Okay, and he has, and I'm not going to disagree with that.
Put it this way: he has the highest floor. He might not have the highest ceiling, but he has the highest floor.
Oh, you stole my line. Very nice. Hey, Doug, way to go. You took crib notes, didn't you? You son of a.
Well, no, I'm just for you just like everything else. You just
right.
show
No,
up
no,
and
no,
do the show.
You're
You
not-
don't really
you're
ever
not-
do anything behind the scenes. I mean, at least I could steal something.
Yeah, well, that's all right. No, you know what, Doug? I think CeeDee Lamb's still better than Jefferson, but if Jefferson's going to fall to us, guys, I think it's going to happen. We don't have to make a move. We're just sit here and go. Thank you, Justin Jefferson.
I can't even look at this guy. I just can't,
God.
dude.
I can't either.
Oh, look at his false teeth.
Just tell me he
Good
didn't.
Lord.
Just tell me he does not take Lamb here. That's all.
Yeah, he does.
If he takes, and he's smiling like he is, like the Drescher cat. Isn't it the Drescher cat? Is that what they call it? Drescher, right? Cheshire. All right, Cheshire cat. Thank you, Bob. You're old enough to remember that.
Get it right out.
Hopefully they gamble and take Chase on a edge rusher, go with DeMarcus Lawrence. And
Man, the pick is in, huh?
Mike McCarthy. Hey, look, there's the puppet.
He looks like he is a Jerry, that guy. He looks like Jerry's other kid. Oh, man. I don't even want to listen to what he's saying. These Cowboys things make me ill.
Hey,
Al, your sister-in-law jumped in on a watch party and gave it a big wave.
Who?
Your sister-in-law, Irene.
Oh, she did? All right, awesome.
Yeah.
She gave a big wave?
Oh, God, I can't. Yeah, like a wave on the watch party. Like you have a watch party, a wave.
Oh, I didn't start a watch party.
I can't watch, dude. I can't even barely stare at the screen. We're probably losing people watching right now, just watching this Cowboys stuff going on here.
Oh, God. Well, Pete DeRigo, I know he's a big Dallas fan. He's probably watching right now.
Yeah, I'm getting sick. Look, see, this is where I love it, man.
How do you know?
See, Chris.
I'm hoping.
Yes, thank you, Chris.
I think the pick is going to determine how much pull a guy like McCarthy has with Jerry Jones. If it's a receiver, obviously him being an offensive coach is going to show. But if he goes defensive player,
The pick is in, and we don't have to guess
Very
anymore.
calm.
Let's find out where they go. With the 17th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver, Oklahoma. Well, Dak Prescott just got another weapon to throw to, and CeeDee.
Oh, my Lord.
God, I hate you, Dallas.
Of all teams.
My buddy Matt Wick, who's not watching this show, and John Brooks, knows Matt Wick is. He used to pray that the Dallas Cowboys would die in a.
There you go. John Roach said it best.
Yes, he did. He
He
did.
kept it clean. Adam Mortelli, he's not happy either. Frank Luigi was hoping they took a punter. Oh, man.
It's just unbelievable.
Brutal.
oh,
None of them.
We know what's happening, dude. I don't understand. Why is everybody acting all surprised? We called it.
That's why these false teeth were showing his false teeth in that damn smile of his.
He looked like he was in a submarine. Did anybody pick that up? It looked like he was like on a cruise ship or something somewhere. It had like brown windows in the background.
Son of a gun.
You know, it's funny because obviously the Eagles and the Eagles fans would expect CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy to be gone, even Ruggs. And it would be understandable to take Jefferson. And you're probably going to still get the guy that you were scheduled to get. But you don't want the guy to go to Dallas. Anywhere.
No. You got the best, in my opinion, and I think Steve's as well, the best wide receiver in the draft going to Dallas.
Yeah, that's like I said before, of all teams, that's not what I was looking forward to right there.
Wow. Damn it.
But like Coffee said, you still have a shot at getting one of the top four. Again, the team that scares me is the Jags right in front of us.
Yeah, but guys, here's the thing. This is what scares me. Miami's going to take freaking Jefferson.
I think they go running back, maybe. Or, I mean, they got to get an offensive lineman. They can go all over the place. I'll be honest with you. Miami's got a bunch of holes to fill.
Yeah, that was kind of
Josh Jones, that tackle spot. Bob Fisher said Josh Jones.
Oh, Chris. Listen, now we have to draft the defensive player to pop this fool.
Yeah. I like it, Chris. I like the way you're thinking, brother. We got to get a defensive player to pop.
If we don't get Jefferson, should the Eagles have done whatever with the Falcons at 16 to get Lamb, knowing Dallas might screw them? Well, that's what I thought. I kind of knew.
If they don't trade out,
we
they're
all
going to get a great player.
We all called Lamb.
Yeah, we talked about that, right? We talked about moving up with Atlanta and maybe even Denver.
But how disappointing will it be now if now the Eagles move back? You can't, right? As long as Jefferson's on the board, you can't move.
No, I don't think you move. Again, like Coffee just said before, you're still going to get, if Jefferson's there, the guy that you thought you could. Now the bad taste in your mouth is arguably one of the best receiver in the group to your rival. But if Jefferson's still there, he's your pick at 21, I believe. It's just the most glaring need. It's a fit. The question is if he's not there.
You may have to go get a corner. You may have to go get, you got a loaded roster for Dallas. When you talk about Gallup, he's 6'4". Cooper can run 4.4, and CeeDee Lamb, a big body guy that can jump over anybody. With the corners that the Eagles have, Slay's 5'10", Darby's 5'9". I mean, you got some smaller frame guys. Even Sidney Jones is not that tall. You might want to get some size at corner. And think about, a guy like Fulton. Is he going to be there? Somebody may be calling you to trade down. You could pick up another pick. Again, I've said from the very beginning, if I'm the Eagles, I'm trying to get out of 21 or take a corner there because receiver's so deep, and you can get a guy that I think is just as good as a Jefferson, in a T. Higgins, in a Chenault that'll fit what you like to do. Now I think you got to get defensive and try to guard against what Dallas is going to bring to you twice a year.
So we talked about the linebackers that could possibly be out there at 21, and they're still there, Kenneth Murray and Patrick Queen. Terrell's gone, so I guess the best two cornerbacks on the board at this point would be, you said Christian Fulton, which I agree with. Diggs is out there from Alabama, which is the brother of the receiver, Stephon Diggs. His name's Trevon, I believe. So you have two good quarters. You have two good linebackers if you flip to the other side of the ball and because one of those receivers is not there, or because Jefferson's not there.
Gentlemen, it's going. We're trading back. We're going to get Jalen Johnson. We're going to end up getting Rieger. We're going to end up trading back. We're going to trade it back later in the first round. We're going to get somewhere second or third. We'll be able to shimmy around.
Well, I don't know where Josh Friedman is right now, but Kenneth Murray is still on the board.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not going to be excited about it, but I'm going to be happy about it. Let's put it that way. How's that? Does that make sense? Not excited, but very happy about it.
Okay. I just
My wife
man.
just said it sounds like our wedding day. That comment.
Listen,
Karen Gillespie, Coach Gillespie's wife, says nobody is left.
That is unbelievable. That's a great line. That was an awesome. Hey, Deb, you should be a comedian.
What's that?
You were saying that, not me.
The worst part about it is a lot like Coffee said, we're right where we thought we would be. The apple that doesn't sit very well is Lamb to the Cowboys, but
That's what hurts.
that's the one
You
that
can't
hits you right in the stomach. However, you're right where we thought you would be. Does Justin Jefferson go before you, and do you have to switch to the defensive side of the ball?
And it's a tough fan base to keep happy. I just see the passion here in Philadelphia so much. You got to be happy with what you get and not what you could have had. And everybody's already on Twitter talking about, well, what if we called, San Francisco or called the Falcons? You should have made a trade. You should have made a deal to try to get up there and get Lamb. Look, just trust the process and the guys that you have and the system that you got. Look, you're pretty much talented at wide receiver. A healthy Alshon, a healthy Deshaun Jackson with Greg Ward and the two best tight end tandem in the league with Miles Sanders. You're loaded offensively. You really don't need anything. You just need something for the next year and going past that because Alshon
and Michael Irvin. All right, the Dolphins' second draft pick is in the first round. Let's find out. Oh, we do? Okay. All right, so we got some time to figure out here what they're going to do with the Miami Dolphins, the second overall pick in the first round. They took Tua Tagovailoa with the 5th overall pick. This is the pick they got when they traded away Minka Fitzpatrick to the Pittsburgh Steelers, the pick they got back there. And look, the Steelers are very happy with that trade. Minka made a huge difference on defense, but the Dolphins are in rebuilding mode right now. Mel, as you look at what's available here to Miami, what makes sense to you?
You got to take offensive tackle. You got to protect Tua whenever he's the starting quarterback, and that offensive line's a big issue. You got to believe, even if you have to reach a little trade, offensive tackle.
All right, we'll see if that's the case. Brian Flores and son look very happy, as does Chris Greer. Now we can tell you officially.
Josh Jones,
the pick is in.
maybe.
Let's see if they do go up front. We got good news for Tua here. We got good news for Tua.
Yeah, Tua.
With the 18th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Austin Jackson, tackle, USC.
There you go, tackle.
You know what just happened? Roger Goodell took the pick. He said we got good news for Tua. You knew it had to be an offensive lineman. And there is.
There you go. We are now at 19. And the Raiders will be selecting Justin Jefferson.
I'll tell you what, it's good to see the NFL and showing some love to these offensive tackles. Coffee, that's right up your alley.
Go easy with the language. We're online.
And because of the quarterbacks, that's what made me think about it. The quarterbacks in this league, there's not a lot of them that are elite. And if you got one, you better protect them. If you spend some money on one, you better protect them. And these tackles, these grades that I've seen on these draft boards, Jackson's got a lot of people talked about being in the top 5, but playing at USC, obviously they had a history of putting out some solid offensive linemen. Tyron Smith a few years ago has been a staple in the NFL. He's going to be a solid player in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, everybody talked about how deep and talented this wide receiver class was, and we had mentioned, along with a lot of other people, how talented the offensive tackle class was. And that's 5 offensive tackles now in the top 18 picks. That's big time.
So is this Fulton here, guys?
They got to go secondary, yeah.
I don't know if it's cornerback as much as it is safety, Al. I like Xavier McKinney here from Bama.
Delpit's still there.
I like Xavier McKinney here from Bama, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go. We'll go Clemson.
Either way.
AJ Terrell.
He's gone, I think, isn't he?
Terrell's gone. Terrell.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Atlanta.
having brain dysfunction. Yeah, Atlanta.
Hi, Doug.
The thing I like about.
Sorry, I'm doing 3 jobs. Sorry.
The thing I like about Xavier McKinney is he's a John Gruden kind of safety, if that makes sense. Although John Gruden is an offensive mind, but he can step up and fill the run like any safety in his college board. He's up and aggressive against the run, and that's the reason I have him here.
Nick Ward just put salt in the wound, saying he's shocked.
Yeah, Nick Ward's shocked over it. Don't worry, guys. Malcolm will tag Lamb. Oh, that's right. He's not here anymore.
That's right, Jeremy Chin.
Call me question for you, man. Oh, the Raiders pick is already in. Jeez Louise. All right, stand by on that one.
All right.
Football ahead of him without a doubt. So there you see it. Under center, Austin Jackson protecting that man under center, the offensive tackle out of USC. We continue to work our way through the draft. We are up to pick number 19. And there you see Austin Jackson and family celebrating. And as we just told you, it is absolutely something that is very important to Austin Jackson. Jackson there went through that procedure, is now Brian Flores. Thumbs up all the way around. As we agree, 2 really good picks for the Miami Dolphins, and Tua Tagovailoa and offensive tackle Austin Jackson. Meanwhile, we're up to pick 19 in the first round. It is the second of the 2 first-round picks for the Oakland Raiders. Remember, they dealt away Amari Cooper. They dealt away Khalil Mack. They had 3 first-round picks last year. One of them was a home run, Josh Jacobs. Jonathan Abrams was hurt, never really saw. And Cleveland Ferrell didn't really translate what they thought they'd get with the 4th overall pick. Meanwhile, what will they do with their second pick here in the first round? The pick is in. Let's go to the commissioner and find out what the Las Vegas Raiders are doing.
We thought it would be fitting here at pick 19 as the Las Vegas Raiders welcome their second selection to make a special announcement. As you may know, we are scheduled to host a draft in Vegas this year. And we thank so many for the effort they put forth to prepare that possibility. And we think you deserve another shot. So we're happy here to announce that tonight, the Las Vegas Raiders will host the 2020 NFL Draft. Congratulations to Mark Davis, the Raiders organization, and Raiders Nation. We look forward to being there in Las Vegas.
Wow,
Congratulations.
this guy's totally messing up.
And now, with the 19th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Damon Arnett, defensive back, Ohio State.
Wow.
All right, first of all, congratulations.
A little early, gentlemen.
I get it. I think it's early for some people. I get it. He's a better cover guy, pure man-to-man guy than Fulton. He may gamble a little bit more. Fulton had a lot of talent around him. Obviously, Arnett had some talent around him, but that's the Raiders kind of way. They went with Conley a few years ago out of Ohio State, and I think it could be a good pick for him. You'll see some of these highlights. The kid can make some plays.
So, why not Jalen Johnson? Why not Jalen Johnson, though? Because he's even higher on the board, but not.
Yeah, you're not higher on their board.
So, Coffee, John Roach has got a question for you down there.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Let's see that.
I'm more of a determinant, but I've had this question. I asked a lot of people, DB coaches, is it more vital to get a pass rusher or a secondary guy? What actually makes the defense go? They work hand in hand. My honest opinion, if it's an elite guy, you got to go with the elite corner because the elite pass rushers are a dime a dozen, in my opinion. When you talk about guys, in this league, Cameron Jordan, Brandon Graham, Von Miller, all of these different guys, Aaron Donald that can get after quarterbacks. If you don't have a secondary behind them, look at the Rams defense. They put some stacked guys up front, but until they got some guys that can cover, that defense, got picked apart the last couple of years. Even J.J. Watt, when they lost A.J. Bouye in the secondary, they weren't the same, even though A.J. was dominating, getting sacks up front. So I'm going to go with the elite corner. You could always scheme and design blitzes to get people at the quarterback. I'm going to go with the elite corner. I would wait on Chase on and go with a guy that can cover.
Jackson won't pick him.
So, and I think you're right on point here. I mean, this is the one where you got to go right now.
So, Doug, Al, you'll appreciate this. A good friend of ours, Nick Beretta.
Nicky B
commented in and said, Austin Jackson went 2 picks ago. He runs the base as well. He's a pretty good center fielder for the Detroit Tigers.
Here you go.
That's Nicky B for you, buddy.
That's exactly. That doesn't surprise you.
Nice. Want to give a shout out real quick to my buddy Rob Potts. Hope he's doing well. Although it's the NFL, that guy is hitting extraordinaire. So takes care of my son Drew. Awesome guy. he's a friend of Charlie Manuel's, and so he's definitely a friend of ours here on the show. So, Posse, hope all is going well, buddy.
Good stuff, bud.
All right, so
we're 2 picks away, fellas. The Jags are in, supposedly.
The Jags are in. Well,
I got a text direct from the Jags.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw you on the phone. I know they weren't drafting you, but I figured maybe you knew something.
This guy.
Coffee, what do you think of Chase on here?
It'd be a good pick for them. Obviously, they got to get back to what they do, and some teams built their defenses from the pass rush back. I think personally, it depends on your coaching staff and what you believe in, and it's hard to. You could scheme up coverages, but if the guy can't make a play on the ball, you're going to be in trouble. Once the ball gets in the air, I need a guy that could be there. You could coach him to get there, and you could also coach pressure. You could scheme up zone blitzes to get a guy free off the edge and to get after a quarterback. And at the end of the day, the quarterback pressure, it's about hitting him early and then making him think that you're going to bring some pressure so he gets rid of the ball quicker.
Well,
take the ball away with the secondary. The sacks, you still get you get a sack on first and second down. They've still got a third and fourth down to try to make something happen. You can take the ball away. I'm going to go with the cornerback. But the Jags, knowing that the way that they've played in the last few years, they've been pass rush centric. You talk about Calais Campbell, Malik Jackson, Dante Fowler. They got out Ngakoue. He's a guy that they may be putting on the block.
Well, the reason I asked you is because earlier I said C.J. Henderson, and the Jags went that direction. And you said sometimes it's not the cornerback slot, it's the pressure up front. And here I think it's a perfect combination of drafting C.J. Henderson earlier and now adding that pass rush to it.
When I look back at the tape, week by week, the Eagles run to the Super Bowl, a lot of those sacks, Chris Long and Michael Bennett, those guys are getting after quarterbacks. Obviously, Fletcher Cox would just win. Brandon Graham would just win. But sometimes there was a lot of coverage sacks where the quarterbacks were holding the ball because the coverage was there on the back end. And as much as we've seen, Mills and Darby, those guys get beat when they get isolated, their coverage was helping that pass rush just as much as the other way around.
Right.
And I think when the guys, like Patrick Robinson, those guys started to move around and get hurt, the Eagles secondary and the pass rush didn't look the same. I think it starts in the back end. As long as you're able to be stout and stop the run up front, you can scheme pass rush pressure.
Yeah, like I said, Henderson and the pass rush definitely secured 2 spots on that defense that Jacksonville needs. Sorry, Al.
No, it's fine. So, guys, this is still playing out, if I dare say this, playing out for the Eagles to trade down. Even if Jefferson's there,
no.
Is he a bona fide player that needs to be on his roster because he's better in the slot, right? We still need outside wide receivers, and there's plenty of outside wide receivers. There's still the X and the Y. I'm thinking that this is a good spot for us to actually trade out. It's actually playing very well in our hands. I'm not saying you have to do it, but I think it plays very well in our hands. So I'm curious to see that. What are you laughing at?
I'm just laughing at the fact of how long it's taken to get to this point for the Eagles to actually pick, on deck. So I'm thinking, man, they got to be hungry for this pick.
I know I am.
They're going Jefferson, dude. There's really not much to think about.
Well,
unless the Jaguars take us,
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
If the Jaguars take Jefferson right here, then they're trading down, and they probably won't even end up. Maybe they still pick tonight, but
so
I don't know.
So nothing's, again, like Coffee said, nothing's really changed. Everything we talked about a week ago with the show when we were on a week ago, everything we talked about prior to the show tonight is right here in front of you. It's Justin Jefferson or trading back. And again, we talked about every scenario with the silver lining theory. Every scenario is a good scenario. If they stay here at 21 and take Justin Jefferson, hey, a lot of people are going to be really good with that. If they trade back because they think they can cover a few more needs in this first round and early second, then that's going to be fine too. But you're right where you thought you would be at this point of the draft.
And talking about Jefferson playing in the slot, with these motions and receivers, you get people all over the field. It's about the matchup. And the slot, playing a guy in the slot is about the matchup, going against a nickel, third, fourth corner, or going against the safety, or if they're in the base package, get them matched up against the linebackers. The way that the Eagles play, with this 2 tight end system, I still think that you got to go get a bigger body guy. That's why I think that a guy like T. Higgins would be somebody that you could replace Alshon Jeffrey with, because I think Deshaun Jackson has a little bit more left in the tank than he does.
20th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Pavon Chason, linebacker, LSU.
Well, there you see Caleb on
What's
Chason
going to
and
happen,
company
boys?
getting
The boys are on the clock. Here we go.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of what we just talked about. The theory we talked about, Coffee, was right.
Yep.
Well,
you called it.
Telling you.
You know I love Higgins. I called it on the show last week.
It's not that.
They're not going to take him here.
Jefferson. It's not that cut and dry. I mean, you know, even though I feel he's the 3rd best wide receiver on the board, above Ruggs, I don't know if it's that cut and dry, gentlemen.
You got to talk to your boy Rhodes.
Jefferson. Don't overthink it. Mortelli says take Jefferson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay. I'm fine with that.
So let's see what we
What if you
got
get
here.
blown away? What if you get blown away by a team like who's left behind the Eagles?
Minnesota has
about
2
Green
picks
Bay?
coming.
What about Green Bay? Green Bay would be a perfect trade partner right now.
So would Minnesota with 2 picks. They might be looking to not pay 2 first-round guys and move back.
Okay, and there you go.
They have 2 picks coming at 22 and 25.
So is it so different between Jefferson and Ayuk and Rieger to not make a deal? Come on.
I think Ayuk is the guy that you got to look out for.
Yeah, Ayuk, great. We talked about that last week.
Listen, I know I give you some inside information being around Jaws. You know, he talks to Howie and a lot of guys down there. The teams trust coaches, and a guy like Herm Edwards puts a stamp on a guy. People take that to heart, and I think it could be a move here.
Ooh, Brandon,
wow.
Make a move.
2:30 on the clock and counting. Who are they showing?
So you guys recall I've said a couple times here the silver lining theory, right? I also said that Ayuk was the one out of them all that I didn't like. So I don't know if the silver lining theory is holding up here. If it's Ayuk,
Hey, but Stevie Kuiper, the pick's already in. Stevie, Kuiper's got Ayuk at 23rd overall.
Yeah, I get it.
23rd overall.
Long as it's not Marcus Smith, no offense.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Good
Say
call.
it ain't so. Man, so where's Doug and Howie?
They're smiling. They're happy. Howie's like, I hope I didn't screw up again because my job's on the line.
Oh, boy. So
his job is on the line this draft. I'm telling you straight up.
Oh, Lord.
You don't think so?
Yeah, no, I don't know about that. I think I mean, Ortega-Whiteside didn't do him any favors. So, I mean, this one's got to kind of hit. So that's why I kind of feel like he's going to go with the guy that has the track record, which is Jefferson.
So my nephew Adam Mortelli said, "Don't overthink it. It's Jefferson." However, I got news for you. I got this safety Xavier McKinney staring me right in the face right now, and I don't know why. And I don't know why I can't get past that name, but
let's see what they got.
A pretty good safety, Xavier McKinney, but
See the value.
Rieger.
Although keeping a guy like Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State, but linebacker, inside backers with speed and coverage ability are sitting right there. Maybe they pull the trigger on one of those.
Well, there you see Justin Jefferson, who had an unbelievable season at LSU. Michael Irvin, we talked a little bit about some of these receivers, and the big three are off the board, but we're talking wide receiver draft class where there could be upwards of 15 to 20 that potentially have
Turn the TV up,
including some of Justin
Jefferson.
Yeah, and Justin Jefferson is another guy a lot in the slot. About 90% of his plays came out of the slot position, man, but he could make plays all over the field. I love watching him. It reminds me some of Keenan Allen, the kind of guy that you cannot stop no matter where he lines up.
All right, we'll see what happens. Again, sometimes you have to let the board talk to you. And if you are the Philadelphia
All right with this, man. If it's
you need to
JJ.
get some sort of wide receiver for your help in Carson Wentz, who has obviously had his own issues the last couple of years. But you just saw the Dallas Cowboys load up in that division, getting CeeDee Lamb to go with Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup and Zeke Elliott and everything else they've got going there. It's going to be a point-scoring league. We're talking about Dak Prescott last season, who threw for almost 5,000 yards, 4,900. Do the Eagles feel like they need to ramp up the offensive side of the ball? We've seen Howie Roseman make all kinds of trades when he feels like he needs to make a trade and go out and get players. And Doug Peterson obviously has a system that works for him. It's been with him, and it's been with him when he was in Kansas City under Andy Reid. Translated that very nicely. Well, what the Eagles have done here.
Rager.
We've all.
Oh, Rager?
John Clark just tweeted Jalen Rager. Source confirms.
Brent,
30
John
seconds
Clark
ago.
tweeted it's Jalen Rager. John Clark already tweeted it. Coffee saying.
Love him.
Wow.
TCU, baby.
TCU.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Zin, let's see if they do indeed go wide out.
Before we announce the Eagles selection, I want to personally thank our fans for your contributions to the NFL Draft-a-thon. If you're able to give, we encourage you to go to NFL.com/relief to contribute to those most in need. And we thank you again for your support.
Doug, you make a lot of money. You should contribute.
With the 21st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Rager, wide receiver, TCU.
Guess who called it?
Well, this is a player and a name, guys, who has been rising up a lot of draft boards since the end of the season. And if you're thinking, Rager, that name sounds familiar. You are 100% correct. His father, Monte Rager, was a defensive end who played 9 years in the NFL, including wow.
So listen to this, Jalen Rager, right? The reason I liked him, although I'll be the first to say I thought it was going to be Jefferson. However, tonight when we came on, I said I liked Rager. He had a hell of a season 2 seasons ago. His production dropped off a little bit last year, only because they went to a freshman quarterback because their TCU's graduated. So a lot of the lacking of stats that Rager had wasn't necessarily due to Rager's inefficiencies. It was due to a freshman quarterback.
He's been excited about it a lot. That puts the clock on Deshaun Jackson. It's funny. John Clark he's been spot on with his predictions and his insight. About a day or so ago, maybe early this morning, he put something out that Deshaun Jackson said he had spoke to Howie Roseman, and Howie said that they were going to look to add a speed wide receiver, which kind of leaned a little bit away from a guy like Jefferson, and kind of fits what you see in these highlights in a guy like Rager.
I love the pick. Love the pick a lot. I know John Roach is upset because Jefferson seems to be a better player, but if you look at his tape, go on YouTube and watch Jalen Rager.
We're live.
Contested passes, the fact he's got that one step and go. I like this kid a lot. I think it's a great pick. I'm very, very, very pleased.
Justin Jefferson? T. Higgins? T. Higgins is going to go later.
Yeah, I know, but still, he's better than this guy. He's 5'11".
Okay.
Uh-oh. We got an argument between Doug and his dog.
My son wanted to be NFL analyst there. He was not happy with the pick. He was concerned about Rager's size.
Have you guys seen his broad jump and his high jump?
So let me propose this for a minute. Minnesota, with their salary cap issues and with the way they're strained against the cap, have two first round picks coming here at 22 and 25. If you're the Eagles, can you give a third and a fourth and jump up back into the first round?
Ooh, I like it.
To get who?
To get the 25th pick, a third and a fourth.
I'll tell you right now if it's worked.
To get,
doable.
Because you have 3 thirds, right? And you have 2 fourths.
No, you got to do a second.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to get something better than that. I wouldn't do that if I was
you. Do a second.
I just don't know about the Rager thing, man.
If it's going to get you a stud, I would do the second. Take the second and move up. It's like you're getting 2 firsts. Are you kidding me? I'd do it.
Who are you reaching for, though?
Maybe get Jefferson at that point.
I would do the second.
You get Jefferson at that point, or then you concentrate on the defensive side of the ball and go linebacker or corner.
They're not going to.
Don't be surprised.
Yeah, but another receiver? I don't
There's
see that, man.
There's too many good wide receivers. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go that high. I wouldn't go jump that high. I wait to the top of the second, though. I try to go somewhere top 5 in the second, top 10 in the second, but not now.
Man, I mean, you still got Kenneth. You still got Kenneth Murray. And then here's the other thing. What about the kid Ruiz? So, he's coming up. You talk about a run on linemen. I mean, maybe he makes sense.
Is he your Kelsey replacement? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the only guy that I might reach for at this point, knowing that Kelsey's kind of on his last year and the center position is the one that's so hard to replace. But I just feel like that's a lot, man, to get up in the back of the first round again.
Miami's got pick 37, right, which is the 5th pick of the second round. After having 3 first-rounders, could you get there, Al? Is that what you're talking about, early second?
Al's speechless. I don't know what's going on.
So I mean, maybe you move up to there, and I'm not necessarily saying you even get a receiver. You can get one of those linebackers at that point. Maybe Patrick Queen's still there. We'll see if Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma goes. You'll still have Diggs there. You still may have the kid Delpit from LSU still there.
I mean, a lot of guys are upset about it at this point.
I agree with Chris. Should have traded down and got Rieger.
Yeah, and that's been your stance the whole. Yeah.
I like the player.
They made the pick. They made the pick with time on the clock. So who knows if they got offers coming in? They didn't obviously wait it out.
Yeah, like to me, doesn't that say that was the guy they wanted? Did you make the pick that quick?
There was a lot, Doug, there was a lot of noise around Rieger today. A lot of noise around Rieger today. A lot.
Well, you heard when they described the pick. They said he was moving up every draft board in the league.
I don't know.
Guys, he put a little. So just so you know, the combine hurt him this year. He put a little bit of weight on because he had actually been. He got bigger. He was pumping a lot of iron. He ran a 4.47, sub 4.5, but the kid's actually probably more of a 4.4 wide receiver. He gets a little bit more lean because he's a strong kid. He's built like a brick.
My concern is he a one-dimensional receiver? In the first round, I don't want to one. Really? At 5'11", how many targets is he hitting with linemen that average 6'5" in this league?
He was the second highest what is it? The high jump? What do they call that? The high jump?
Bro.
Second highest and the second highest broad jump, which means
that doesn't mean anything, dude. I can do a lot of things in my underwear. Playing in the league ain't one of them.
Then go look at video of him, Doug. Watch him in YouTube.
Watch him in YouTube.
Don't argue with me. Did you watch him at all?
Actually, I had watched Rieger, and I want to ask you, who's the last guy to come out of TCU? Who's the last guy to come out of TCU that's just dominated or made a huge impact in the league out of the wide receiver position?
Really?
I'm asking you because look at the offense, dude. Look at the defense that those guys run in that conference. The SEC is a legit league, and I'm sorry, but the Ginger Messiah, he ain't so good at finding guys that are on the move. That's all I'm saying. And he, stretching the field, I don't know. I just think he's a small target, dude. That's what concerns me. He's one-dimensional. You're not going to use this guy in the slot. You're not going to use this guy going across the middle. He's going to stretch the field. That's great. Deshaun stretches the field, which tells me don't be surprised if Deshaun doesn't get traded at some point in the next 2 days.
Okay. And?
So then who's the guy that's going to catch the ball across the middle who's not named Zach Ertz?
Dallas Goedert?
Okay.
A little bit of Greg Ward.
Greg Ward I'm telling you, Greg Ward is a sleeper that I don't even think with this pick, with the frame that Rieger has, it shows that maybe they don't really trust Ward just yet. But I think Greg Ward's a great pickup. He's good. He's a cheap guy. He's a cheap option.
No
Obviously,
doubt.
you need to save some money with the cap, the $25 million that Deshaun and Alshon are taking up this season.
I'm getting carried away here. Hold on.
Okay, so here's my son's giving me an update.
Wide receiver, LSU.
Well, here's where you're about to find out that sometimes drafting is kind of like high school recruiting. It's not an exact science. Justin, we apologize. ESPN gave you no stars coming out of high school, and you were listed as the number 308 receiver in the nation in the class of 2017. You didn't even crack the top 50 in the state of Louisiana. Safe to say, you made up for it.
Brent, that's legit.
A school record 111 catches, and if it hadn't been Jamar Chase's 20 touchdown grabs,
Patriots trade the pick already.
Yeah, Chargers moved up to 23.
I just want you to keep your eye on Justin Jefferson's highlight reel here and notice the size of the players and the competition he's against.
I'm not arguing whether or not the guy's a good player. I just thought listen, all I'm doing is playing up the buzz of what I heard about Jalen Reagor, okay? I really like the kid.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not saying Jefferson.
I guess the question is, did they pick him too high? But did they pick him too high? Like, it's not that Reagor's not a great player, but in that spot with Jefferson on the board,
should be entertained.
You go Reagor.
Listen, if you've got Jefferson sitting there, Reagor, Ayuk, Mims, all these guys that are sitting there, why are you not trading back? I would 100% agree with that. Trade back and get your guy. Now you can't trade back. Now you got to trade up.
Yeah. Stevie, what were you saying? You started saying something that now are yelling.
No, I was just saying that they traded up to 23 to Chargers.
Yeah, look at him. Look at him against Oklahoma. Look at this guy against Alabama. Look at this guy against Clemson.
Chris Milam just brings up a point solidifying what we had said earlier. Where could you have traded back in regards to what Al wanted to do with one of these Vikings pick? And here you go, right there. You could have gotten.
I won that all along.
You know, if you could have gotten one more second, let's say, although you were not going to give up a second, maybe if you're the Vikings for one pick, I get it.
Golly. It's just so hard for me to watch this.
Listen, don't take me out of context because I didn't say this was a genius pick. All I'm saying is I like Reagor's skill set, and I wanted them to trade back. Is exactly what I was saying before the pick was made. Exactly what I was saying. Thought they got the guy they wanted.
Yeah, and Al, you've been sticking by that for over a week now. I mean, we talked a week ago, prior to the show, a week ago, saying you wanted to trade back.
Right, but wasn't that on the assumption that Jefferson would have been on the board?
It could have been, yeah.
But I still think, and someone said it, and I think it was you, Doug, that said a disparity between the players between 1 and, what'd you say, 10? There's no
1 and 7, 1 and 8.
Did you not say that earlier today?
I don't think there's a huge disparity, but Jefferson's on the board.
Okay. But here's the point. We're talking semantics. They should have traded back. Because I would have been happy with Ayuk, Jefferson, Reagor.
Would you have rather taken Murray over Reagor?
Oh, well, you know what?
I only say this because I think you could find a guy later in the round if you got the opportunity, and this is a big thing. The Eagles don't have a second-round pick, that you're talking about in the 40s or 50s, that you can make sure you get one of because those receivers are going to start to roll off the board tomorrow night once 8 o'clock hits or 7 o'clock hits. But I think at that position, you could have gotten some other needs filled and realized that there are 6 or 7 good quality receivers in this second tier group that you can still get a little bit later.
Yeah.
I think it's very obvious that they fell in love with Reagor so much they had to make the pick there. That's what it's telling me. It's that they fell in love with him. And do I like him? 100%. I actually think the guy's got. Again, I'm asking you, Doug. Take 5 minutes tonight. You're laying in bed. Take your tablet and watch a little bit of video of the guy.
I get it, but his build is just like Arcega-Whiteside.
No, he's
the same build.
He's got more speed than Arcega-Whiteside. Arcega-Whiteside's like Alshon Jeffrey. This guy's not Alshon Jeffrey. This guy's a sub 4.5.
One thing, Doug, and try not to do it, and I know Eagles fans are going to do it all season long. Don't look over the fence and keep watching what Jefferson does up in Minnesota because he's going to have a good year. He's going to be opposite like Adam Thielen. He's got a dynamic running back, so he's going to get a lot of catches and have a lot of production. And if Reagor is not at the top of his game, if the Eagles are not winning at the way the fans think that they should, they're going to start to look and say, hey, we could have had that guy like they did with DK Metcalf and some of these other players. So just be calm and let's just see what Doug has in mind with this offense with a guy like Rager in it.
And that's the wild card. Dougie P will find spots for this kid to be open and create opportunities for him.
Los Angeles Chargers select Kenneth Murray, linebacker, Oklahoma.
Wow, good linebacking class now.
Well, the Chargers have their Murray, as in Kenneth Murray, the linebacker from Oklahoma.
So, gentlemen, listen, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to check out at this point and go watch the last 6 picks with my son.
Thank you, guys.
Coffee, good being with you.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you guys jumping on, man. I know Coffee, the stomach is growling at this point. We're getting some overtime here.
Listen, before I go, I just on behalf of my part of BFA Production, I just want to thank all those people out there watching and listening. It was great to have your input all night, and we appreciate what you guys hanging in with BFA Production. So I just want to say good night, Doug. Thanks, Coffee. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Right,
it's gonna be a fun weekend. It's gonna go really fast. We got the draft tomorrow night. Saturday is gonna start early, and then Sunday we get back to that last dance, which everybody loves. I know I love them. I'm a Jordan fan at heart, so
yeah,
I can't wait just to look over these draft picks, see who's winning, who's losing. Start to break down Jalen Rager because I know everybody's gonna want to talk to Jaws and talk to me about it on the radio and on these Zoom videos in a minute.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, fellas.
Check out his 2018 stats. It was a hell of a year.
All right.
Yes,
sounds good.
I got
All
you.
right, guys.
Thanks,
Be well. Talk soon.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so Al jumped out of his chair, but yeah. So listen, we really appreciate everybody jumping in for sure as the picks now dwindle down, and now we're into looks like I think New Orleans is on the proverbial clock. So Al, Coffee, and Stevie, they had
bailed already.
Well, they had to, dude. Coffee was looking to eat.
Hey, hold on. What if there's some action where the Eagles trade back up into the first and make a trade with package deal with Barnett or Rasul Douglas or something? They get back in the first. Don't be surprised. Howie is aggressive.
He might be aggressive.
This is not for show. I'm telling you. Don't be surprised.
Yeah, well, Lincoln Riley was pretty happy, the coach down there at Oklahoma, for his guys for sure. But some of the guys that are still sitting there on the board, I'm really curious, and I think right now my attention goes to Cesar Ruiz, so local product center out of Michigan. Where's he going to go? Maybe he's the guy that ends up. I mean, I think a lot of people are looking for to see really where he lands, but I think Miami is probably a best spot for him. You look at, although they have Tua, they have a lineman. Do they go there? Or do they go with potentially a weapon on the outside? Do they try to get maybe like a Cole Kmet from Notre Dame? I think that's going to be a spot that actually New England's going to need finally to get a tight end there for sure. But shout out John Roach, giving some props. Good job, Stevie. And John wants to know if we're going to be on this weekend.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, Doug, what else do we have to do?
Yeah, sure. So who knows? Yeah, maybe we'll be able to jump on at least.
Friday night's a second round pick, so.
Yeah, well, Friday night we do have some bartending and music coming on tomorrow night too.
That's right.
At 7:30. So maybe we can work around something. But yeah, we'll definitely update some draft coverage for sure.
So next important position for the Philadelphia Eagles, which I still think that maybe with Rieger pick, that maybe they still look at a second wide receiver, which is a possibility, without having to trade up because of the way the board's running, and then get their linebacker in the third round like a Jordan Brooks or a Willie Gay, and it would actually, I'd be very happy. So could Hamler be there in the second round, right? Or is it, I'm forgetting the kid's name in Jacksonville. Now, the kid in Jacksonville, the defensive end, could they make him a deal?
And Duque?
And Buke, yeah. Could we get him with a second round pick and a player?
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, still got a guy.
So if you got Rieger and him, would you say it's a successful draft in the first 2 rounds?
If you get him? Yeah, I mean, I guess if you get him, sure.
He hasn't gone anywhere yet. No one's made a deal for him.
Yeah, no. It's just gonna be, man. That's a tough pill to swallow. And like even a guy like Ayuk, he's still out there.
Yep, like him a lot.
Yeah, but I just think they're done. I don't see them going to get another receiver at this point. So they're gonna move on quickly, and I think that's where everyone's gonna sit back and look at this and say, hey, well, what kind of draft did the Eagles did they have? And hey, it's gonna come down to Rieger. So hopefully he's a guy that comes right out of the box and does some damage. So again, John Roach, really appreciate you your support. You guys tuning in. And he said, fantastic insight, calling it a night. He's got some homework from Al to watch Rieger highlights. Good luck finding them.
You'll find them. Go on YouTube.
God.
Take a look at those. You'll like what you see.
Yeah, man. So
I got a text from Todd Bonadonna.
Yeah.
Todd Bonadonna says, for the record, I would have picked Jefferson, Murray, or trade back, which I'm fine with.
Yeah. Well, we didn't. So we got a 5'11" receiver in the first round. I don't know the last time that actually one's been drafted that high.
5'11" receiver that jumps like he's
6'3",
4. Yeah. So how tall are your D-backs that are press coverage D-backs?
Press coverage in the NFL this year, most of them average like 6'2", 6'3".
6'3" at press coverage?
Press coverage, dude. You're talking outside cover corners. You're talking, yes.
All right.
You're talking, and if you're not concerned about them, you should be concerned about the safeties that are actually lined up. I mean, listen, they're going to try to use Rieger and get him in sets where he's lined up against a linebacker. Eagles use a lot of 12 sets where you got the 2 tight ends. So then that forces you to go into nickel coverage, right? So they're going to try to line him up ideally against somebody who's a safety. So, I mean, are there going to be matchups they can exploit? Yeah. But again, in order for you to exploit those matchups, you're going to have to dominate in terms of usually you set that offense up where you use the run and you dominate. But a stat that stands out to me is if you look at the teams that have won Super Bowl over the last couple of years, look where they finished in terms of average rushes per game or average rushing yards per game. It's so low. Like that's the biggest part. Like look at Kansas City. Not outside the top 20 for rushing. New England Patriots the year before, like 25th or something, 26th in the league from a rushing standpoint. So this particular offense with the 12 set, you need to commit to running the football. And we know flat out that Doug Peterson does not commit to running the football. He likes to run it. He likes to run the 12 set, which is fine. But in order to get the matchups that you're looking for and force the defense to then make the big change and actually bring in somebody who's going to commit to the run to get the mismatch so you can run by him. We don't. That's not to me. I look at Rieger and then I look at our running backs. You look at Miles. You look at Scott. Who's the big bruising running back that we have in the backfield that you sit there and say, hey, we got to make sure that we protect against short yardage against this guy. It's not there. Jordan Howard, they let run.
A.J. Dillon or Zach. Wait a minute. I think the pick is in.
The pick is in. I got to try to.
We got Cesar Ruiz.
Really? Hold on.
Yeah, went to the Vikings. Saints. I'm sorry.
With a very, very heavy heart.
There he is.
Who you don't see in the picture there.
Heavy heart. Camden, New Jersey's own Cesar Ruiz.
These are Edward Ruiz. 31 career starts in Michigan. He's dedicated his career to his father, who in December of 21 pulled over on the side of a road, Route 55 in South Jersey, to help another car whose driver was trying to change a flat tire. He was then struck and killed by a driver who reportedly fled the scene of the accident. His father was 26 at the time. Ruiz was only 8 years old. He said he knows his father would one day be proud of the man he is today. And that's why the reaction is there for Cesar Ruiz. Going to the New Orleans Saints, the emotion hitting him. This is some of the best part of what makes the draft. Dreams fulfilled, and thank you so often about those who are not there to be with them in this time. Mel Kiper, simply as a player, one of the Saints getting Cesar Ruiz.
Oh, boy. Woo! Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
I think there's I don't think you're gonna find a better highlight tonight than that, especially from a local South Jersey flavor. Kid right there out of Mount Laurel.
Yep.
Cesar Ruiz making his dream come true with a heavy heart for sure. Dude, I'll tell you what. I mean, what an unbelievable night. And again, I know Stevie and Coffee and Josh Friedman had dropped off, but Al, this is something that you had a vision for, early on. Said you wanted us to commit and do more from an NFL standpoint to really kind of help the Eagles fans rally around something. And I gave you a ton of credit, man, because this thing came off, I thought, really awesome tonight. So many people really enjoyed it. Some great engagement, great conversation. But I don't think we intended to stick around for the first round. But to see a kid like Cesar Ruiz, this is probably this is the best closing that you can ask for.
I mean, I'm sorry, I missed a part of that. You said, what was the last part?
I said this is the best closing that you could ask for, seeing a kid like Cesar Ruiz.
No doubt. I'm okay to close right now, even though the first round is still going along. But yeah, this is probably the best way to close this out.
Yeah, man. So again, there's more action to be had. We're gonna try to pick things up over the weekend, figure out, maybe evaluate a little bit after tonight's picks. What do the Eagles need? We could probably get something going early tomorrow because, if I'm not mistaken, the draft starts at 7 tomorrow for round number 2.
Yeah, I believe so. All
right.
Pretty sure.
So perhaps we can be a bit creative. But for those of you that are hanging in, it is the late show now. So it's a little. I guess we're almost going on 4 hours.
15.
Yeah. So almost a 4-hour show tonight. So appreciate you guys hanging in there. And looks like we're going to have a lot to debate about the Eagles. So if you just missed the pick, you'll be maybe sad to know or maybe happy to know. Well, I know Al Fisher's happy because he called the pick. So that's why, that's big there. So great work by you, buddy, because you did a whole lot of homework on this one, studying up and really nailed a bunch of picks going all the way down the first round. So I don't know if you actually played one of those games where you try to pick all the things. But you would have been pretty close. I don't know if they get anything for, almost perfect, but you had a lot of great picks.
No, I have no interest. I just got a lot of passion for the NFL. So a lot of fun tonight, man. I thought it went off perfectly. It was a great night. Got a little help from Bob Fisher tonight. So thank him for being part of it tonight. Thanks, Bobby. And I had a lot of fun with you, buddy. A lot of fun. I lost you. I don't hear you.
That's because I had the technology challenge. You hear me now?
That's right. Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay. So again, fantastic work. This is what being a BFA is all about. So in case people don't know, 4 hours later, BFA production stands for Brother from Another. And this one was definitely fun. So we set a personal record here for the longest stream we've ever done, which is awesome. But kudos and props to you, my brother. Love you lots.
Hey, same here, man. Have a good night.
All right. You too. So for BFA Productions Special Edition Top Shelf Sports, the 2020 NFL First Round Draft Party. I'm Doug Stasic.
I'm Al Fisher.
We'll see you
next time.
Sure.